Ladies and gentlemen, it is Tuesday, October 21st, 2025. Here's what's coming up on the Owen Report today. A lot of slop. A lot of news slop today. Well, there's some movement on the Capitol today. Congress is looking at the auto pen scandal. Congress is reviewing whether President Trump is within his presidential rights to be bombing these boats allegedly carrying drugs into the country from Venezuela. Apparently, some of these boats were not even narcotics traffickers. Now, the Marines are being stationed in the area, including more than 10% of our Navy is apparently now being stationed in the Caribbean area surrounding Venezuela. And so members of Congress are wondering, is it even legal? Is it even legal? So they'll be looking at that, looking at the auto pen. Of course, the government is still shut down. We're now on day 21. We're officially 2 weeks away from this being the longest government shutdown of all time. The current record, 35 days. 35 days. So that's what we're shooting for. That would be what we are shooting for. So that's not stopping President Trump from tearing down part of the east wing of the White House to build the new ballroom. So we'll be looking at that. The White House is also letting you know it was true the entire time, as if you didn't already know this, as if there was any doubt. Yes, illegal aliens were receiving health care. They were receiving health care. You were paying for illegal immigrants' health care. And Karine Jean-Pierre, who's desperate for a job and trying to sell a book. Of course, she told you none of that was true. Now she's a known liar and can't sell a book and can't get a job. That's a shame. All right, we do have some election news. Some election news with the main candidate for Senate. You know, he had the those racist Reddit posts. Well, they've discovered something new about the Democrat. I still don't think they're going to cancel him. I still don't think they're going to make him drop out of the race after this. Wait till you see this one. A new development in the New York City's mayor's race. Sliwa doubling down, saying, hey, they're trying to buy me off. What's up with that? So we will look at that. Elon Musk sounding off over the situation at NASA. There are rumors that the meeting between President Trump and President Putin is being postponed, or it's not looking so good. Well, apparently these rumors are false. These rumors are false, according to Lavrov, who's making public statements. So I don't know where Politico is getting this information. Somebody's trying to sabotage it. That's what you have. Somebody is trying to sabotage the meeting between Trump and Putin. J.D. Vance was in Israel today. We've got some sound bites from J.D. Vance in Israel. Am I taking crazy pills? I think I'm taking crazy pills with what's going on in this ceasefire deal. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills now. And the right, the division on the right, the gatekeeping on the right continues to get worse. It's not good. It's not good, especially today, where an arrest was made over a supposed death threat. I guess you could call it a death threat, a very nuanced death threat, but a death threat towards Laura Loomer. An arrest has been made across state lines because an anonymous account on X posted a very nuanced death threat. This is the most important thing we can do now. Hey, that's good. We should stop the violent leftist criminals that were out celebrating death all during the No Kings protest.
This news update was brought to you by the 1776 Law Center, the official legal team of the Owen Report.
Bunch of slop. So I log on this morning to see what's trending. See what's trending in DC, what's trending in the news, what's trending on X, what people are talking about, what's going viral. And I'm just gagging. I'm just gagging from all the slop. So I made my first X post of the day this morning. And it went like this. Things we are not talking about. Epstein clients going to jail. Doge saving us hundreds of billions of dollars. Audits of all the waste, fraud, and abuse. Deep state arrests. America out of foreign wars. Foreign aid ended. Federal bureaucracies shut. Taxes cut. Houses affordable. Bills down. Things we are not talking about today. And do you know why we're not talking about these things today? Because they're not happening. Because they're not happening. What is happening? The continuation of foreign policy being the be-all, end-all of whether you're going to be accepted in mainstream right-wing politics or not. What is being talked about? How Mamdani can't win because he's a Muslim. So Sliwa needs to drop out, and we need to get behind Cuomo, the notorious nursing home killer. That's the spot. Scratch me there, Doc. Cuomo's what I need. No, we're talking about the New York City's mayor's race. Everybody's got their interest. Everybody wants to talk about the New York City's mayor's race, but how many of these people do you actually hear about talking about the state of New York? They build this big new ball stadium for the Mets. It's basically in a ghetto compound. They have to build these giant walls so you can't see the ugliness outside of some of the exits. You go around downtown New York City, and there's scaffolding everywhere. What the hell is that? It's just permanent scaffolding. You can't even see the buildings. You're walking under these permanent construction setups. It's just hideous. Stinks. You're either smelling weed or you're smelling sewage. I don't know, whichever you'd prefer. Sometimes both. And then you're going to walk by a sad, deranged, homeless person who hasn't wiped his butt in a week. It's a little extra flavor for you. But now everybody wants to talk about New York City because of the mayor's race. Because of the mayor's race. It's just pure slop. Ooh. Did you see? New right-wing text groups are leaked. It shows somebody that works in the Trump administration talked about Hitler. Ooh. Slop. Just slop. I am more interested. I am now more interested in the Jewel heist. I want to know about the jewel heist. How did they do it? How did they get away with it? Was it an inside job? What are they going to do with the jewels? Are they going to break them down and sell them piece by piece? Are they going to sell it to the highest bidder on the black market? Will the French crown jewels remain intact? Or is that it? Never to be seen again? Apparently, Israel soccer fans can't even go to Europe. Not even allowed. I don't know what that's about. That story keeps getting weirder. These things now pique my interest more. I guess I can go to J.D. Vance in Israel telling us how great the peace deal is going. Oh, Israel's just had how many bombing campaigns since the peace deal, since the ceasefire? At least 5. They dropped over 150. They dropped 150 tons of bombs after the ceasefire. It now looks pretty unequivocal that it was a false flag. Hamas didn't pop out of a tunnel and fire an RPG. Looks like an excavator ran over a bomb that blew up. It also looks like the apparent IDF soldiers that were killed were not in uniform. They weren't there in uniform. They were there prospecting the land. But they're all IDF soldiers, so they can just say, "Oh, IDF soldiers killed." So it looks like that was a whole lie, and then they've killed now 100 people since the ceasefire. So great. It's great, guys. It's great. We got more than 10% of our Navy now caught up in the Caribbean because we want regime change in Venezuela. Now Congress is going to be meeting to discuss whether Trump's bombing of these narcotics boats, which they just make claims that no evidence has been presented that they're narcotics boats. Colombia is now claiming that they've bombed fishing boats. They've killed fishermen. Who knows? It's all slop. It's all the same deep state swamp neocon slop that I thought we were sick of. But you see people celebrating it today. Just pure slop. So let's talk about why can't Israel soccer fans go to a football match, a soccer game in England? What's up with that? It's almost antithetical to the entire like fanfare of it. You're a big soccer fan. You want to go into the hostile territory. You want to wear your jersey proud. You're ready to swing fists if you have to. It's part of the culture. Say, nope, we're not going. We're not going to England to watch the soccer game. What happened to Green Street hooligans? What happened? Less slop. That is less sloppy than J.D. Vance talking about how successful the ceasefire deal has been. And I was told that Jared Kushner was being pushed out of this administration. I was told Jared Kushner and Ivanka were no longer going to be involved in this administration. Well, I guess that was a lie. Kushner's now everywhere doing Middle East deals, part of the envoy. Says, golly gee, it looks like a nuclear holocaust happened here. But it wasn't a genocide. It's all slop. It's all the same crap. A stand down, a war, a political overthrow, a lie to you, the American people, while you pay for the whole thing. It's okay. So let's give them let's give them what they want, guys. Did you see that baseball game last night? How about that? I think there was football too. Jewelry heist. I want to talk about a jewelry heist. Do you think who's getting access? Reminds me of that movie. It was based off of a video game. I think it's called Uncharted with Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg, where they're jewel thieves, or they steal, relics. It's like an Ocean's 11 type of thing. That's fun. Let's talk about that. Yeah. Oh, so what? You're giving $40 billion to Argentina to help their farmers while ours are struggling. Who cares? We claim we're in peacetime and war continues to break out everywhere and there's more foreign aid now. It's not less, there's more. More debt. Let's just match slop with slop. Any Seattle Mariners baseball fans, are you feeling the pain today? What a heartbreak. You just can't make it to the World Series. You just won't be allowed in. Sorry. You're like a Palestinian in parts of Gaza now. You're just not allowed in. Sorry. You're not allowed in. It's not yours. So this is what we're not talking about. The things that I thought we were going to get, the things that I thought would be prioritized. But this is it. This is MAGA now. This is the golden age. Republican lawmakers oppose Trump's planned $100,000 charge for H-1B visas. 3 Republican lawmakers joined Democrats in opposing Trump's $100,000 annual fee for H-1B visa applicants. That's only new applicants, by the way. So the whole visa thing isn't working out. Yeah, that whole thing not going so well. We're deporting the bad guys. We've closed the borders. That's definitely happening. You know, there was a stunning statistic. Let me see if I can find it here. You got these foreigners everywhere. This is how bad it is. This is how bad it is by the numbers. 32% of New York City public housing is occupied by people born outside of the United States. 44% of rent-stabilized units. You're subsidizing foreigners. You're subsidizing illegal aliens. I think there's this missing area in this conversation. And by the way, this applies to many of the current topics at hand. I actually think many Americans, if they weren't forced to pay for this crap, wouldn't be so vocal about it. Now, I'm going to get to we're all sick of it, but I'm going to get to this, the new Israel issue today, We're going to cover it. But it's just like this stuff with the illegal immigration. You know, if you didn't make Americans pay for it, if you didn't make Americans pay for their trip and their housing and their food, all of it. If you didn't make Americans pay for it, then maybe we wouldn't make such a big deal. All right, you come into the country illegally and you do whatever you got to do to survive. There's no handouts. There's no welfare. Now, I'm not saying I'm for that. I'm just saying it would probably be less of an issue. It would probably be less of an issue because people wouldn't be coming here. You wouldn't have welfare immigrants. That's what we get. We get welfare immigrants. So you wouldn't get any of the welfare immigrants. And then the people that came here would actually have to, labor and sweat and work and grind to try to make it, to accomplish what might be their American dream as they see it. Try to make it as an American. Try to become a citizen. They'll go through the process. Many people probably wouldn't have such an issue if we weren't forced to pay for it. And it's the same thing with Israel. And they get this whole issue wrong, by the way. They get the whole Israel issue wrong. I've got more examples of it today. And we all know what it is, and we all know why they call it woke right. They can't win the debate, so they just call you an anti-Semite. They can't win the debate on foreign policy, and they can't be forthright in where they're coming from, because if they were, they'd have to admit they're loyal to a foreign nation. So you're not an American patriot. You're loyal to a foreign nation. So they can't give you that. But they say, oh, you're just a Jew hater. No, the vast majority of people on the Israel issue don't think about Jews. They just don't want foreign aid. They don't want to be involved in foreign entanglements. That's all. They don't want to be involved in whatever Israel is doing in the Gaza Strip, whether it's a Holocaust, whether it's a genocide, or whether it's a loving peace campaign, whether it's a peace campaign of doves and daffodils. That's what they're doing. Israel has launched a peace campaign in Gaza. They're calling it the Peace Campaign of Doves and Daffodils. It's the best thing ever in the history of the world. We just don't want to pay for it. That's all. Whatever Israel's doing in the Gaza, the Doves and Daffodils peace campaign, we just don't want to pay for it. We're just done, and we're done with the foreign influence. That's all. You're an anti-Semite Jew hater. What? I thought we were just talking about foreign aid, foreign entanglements. No, you can't win that debate, so you just call me names. Just like the woke left. That's why you're the woke right. So it's the same thing here. This is nuts. 1/3 of New York City public housing. What even is that? Public housing. 1/3 of New York City public housing occupied by people born outside of the United States. And then how many of these individuals are in the school system that can't even speak English? Well, golly gee, in our education system, how's that one going? It's amazing. We spend the most on education. We spend the most on health care. And how's that going for us? But if you suggest we change something, if you suggest we change the approach or change the policy, you're the crazy one. You're the insane one. Not the group that's doing the same thing over and over again and complaining and then expecting different results. No, not them. You wanting to do it different. Bipartisan senators to force vote blocking unauthorized war in Venezuela. They're going for regime change. It's never been more obvious. Now, you have to understand how Trump operates, and you have to just accept it for what it is. This is kind of how Trump does the saber rattling. He moves in, he swings a big stick. He gets it about as close to your nose, about as close to your skull as possible. Basically gives you a close shave with it, and then hopes to back you down and kind of reshuffle the geopolitical pieces on the board. So that could be the agenda here for President Trump. I don't know if Trump actually wants regime change. It looks like when Maduro gives him what he wants, he kind of backs off. Like most recently, where Trump says, "Hey, Maduro he's willing to do anything to stop this." So okay. So I think Trump knows of the deep state operations, and then he kind of leverages those for his own agenda. And then when push comes to shove, he kind of makes the final decision of what he's going to do. So there's no doubt a push for regime change in Venezuela. It's been that way for years. And now they're just trying to get Trump to do it, and he's kind of going along with it. Whether or not he wants to do it or not, I don't know. Perhaps time will tell. But they're blowing up these ships. Now, apparently, one of the ships they blew up was a Colombian fishing ship. Who knows? And if you say you know, then you better have some intel, because I don't see anybody with any evidence. I don't see anybody presenting any evidence that these are drug boats. Now, I'm not saying I'm doubting it. I wouldn't be surprised if they're drug boats. I wouldn't be surprised one bit. I haven't seen the evidence. What I see is a boat traveling on water blowing up. That's all I see. And apparently our missiles, our military doing it to stop drugs from coming in. Really? Yeah, that'll stop the drugs. That'll stop the drug use. Sure. And then Trump's making accusations, calling the president of Colombia a drug kingpin. It's funny. He seems to be a lot less, let's say, willing to say negative things about President Scheinbaum. It's like if you even survive Mexican elections, you're basically run by the cartel. He doesn't seem to be too accusatory towards Scheinbaum. You know, the country that actually borders us, the country where most of the drugs actually are coming from, not Venezuela. Oh, but it turns out there's another angle to the Venezuela thing that was all over the news today. Again, just more neocon slop. So it's like, yeah, okay, am I going to die on this hill of Trump blowing up drug boats? No. But I'm not going to sit here and ignore it and act like everything's going great. It's not. And they are blowing up these boats, and they aren't giving us any evidence of who they are, what they are. And if you know they're drug boats, why aren't you sending out the National Guard? Why aren't you sending out the Navy? Send somebody out there and show the world. Show the world all the drugs they have. Show the world all the drugs, all the weapons, everything. Show the world what it is that they were bringing in that we are so desperate to stop. Let's actually see it. No. No, we don't get that. We're just told to believe it. We're just told to believe it. And now there's an uptick of U.S. military in the region. Here's what the U.S. military has positioned as Trump pressures Venezuela. The U.S. military has been steadily missing a large number of troops, naval and air assets in the Caribbean over the last 2 months. Steadily massing a large number. They're saying it's actually, I heard it was 15%. I heard 15% of the active Navy assets are now positioned in the Caribbean, conducting training missions off the coast of Venezuela, reopening a military base in Puerto Rico that had been shuttered for decades, attacking speedboats carrying suspected drug traffickers from Venezuela and Colombia. They're also doing a bunch of drills on the beaches of San Diego today. A significant percentage. Again, I've heard 15%. It's hard to locate an exact percentage, but 15% seems to be the number that's going around. As of today, a significant percentage of all deployed U.S. naval assets globally are now located in the United States Southern Command, the U.S. military's command responsible for operations in the region, according to a fleet tracker published by the United States Naval Institute news portal. So why not just go arrest? Why not just go take these boats? And then it gets in here to all the different personnel that's there. I don't know why these things are blocking the view here, so we'll just have to deal with that. Did you vote for that? So, again, this is all in my news aggregation process this morning. All right, we're talking about, can Trump bomb these boats? And they were obviously hoping, the neocons, the administration, they were obviously hoping that they could kind of just do this and not have to answer any questions. They were hoping they could bomb these boats and say, see, it's just drug traffickers, nothing to worry about here. We don't need to. Congressional approval means nothing. And I guess you could argue Obama completely just ended congressional approval of strikes. And so that just cleared the way for Trump to do it too. And then what are you going to do? He'll just say Obama did it. And then it hit today, and it's just the recycled narrative. They do it every month. What do you do if you're a right-wing neocon propagandist and your narrative isn't sticking and your agenda isn't selling? What do you do? What is the go-to for you? What is your 4th and 1, gotta convert now play for the neocons to run? Blame it on Iran. What? We're talking about Venezuela. Oh, no. Don't you know Venezuela is Iran now? So this was the sticking point now. So because there's congressional pushback on these boats being bombed, because there's now some pushback from the American people, the American media, the neocons are running their same playbook. And by the end of the week, because this is from last month, I guarantee you by the end of the week, you will be seeing these exact same headlines. Just from this week, not last month. U.S. targets Iran Hezbollah narco network in Venezuela, officials say. Don't you know this is all part of the drive to attack Iran and hit the Hezbollah terrorists? That's what this is. We're attacking Muslim terrorists. Aren't we talking about Venezuela? It's Muslim terrorists. It's jihad. Islamic radical terror. We're talking about Venezuela. This is the slop, folks. This is the slop. And this is why it's so frustrating for many on the right. And if you want to get it into specifics, if you want to put it into categories. The Trump supporters from 2016 that were truly principled political commentators, activists, what have you, truly principled, truly anti-establishment, truly anti-corruption, truly wanted to see change. This is why they're all disenfranchised now. And I think it would be one thing if this stuff was happening and you could maybe say, well, it's the swamp, it's the deep state, okay, this is what we're dealing with. But no. Now, all the people that started supporting Trump after 2020, now all of them love this slop. They're like pigs in the slop. They're rolling around in the slop. They're telling you, come eat the slop with us. Come play in the slop with us. And we're sitting here with all of our battle scars and wounds and stories and experience from 2016. And we're like, no, you're playing in slop. You're eating slop. We don't do that here. You say, well, we're in control now, so eat the slop, play in the slop with us, or just get out of here. You're not wanted anymore. We don't need you. Why is Mom Donnie winning? Well, you don't need us. So what do you care? Hey, the whole regime change war in Venezuela hasn't worked. What should we do? Oh, we're going after the drug traffickers. Hey, the drug trafficker angle isn't working either. What should we do? Let's say it's Iran. Let's say it's Iran Hezbollah terrorists. Yeah, run with that one. And whenever things are looking bleak, just run the same thing again. Just run the same play. It's the tush push. It's the tush push for conservatives. I need a conversion. It's 4th and 1. I need a conversion. Run the tush push. It's radical Islamic jihad. Hey, I don't like going after Venezuela right now. You're not going after Venezuela. You're going after radical Islamic jihad. Oh, well, golly gee, now I like it. Yeah. Can I have seconds of that slop? More slop, please. Cartel connection. Hezbollah and Iran exploit Maduro's Venezuela for cocaine cash. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's Hezbollah and Iran running the cocaine game now. I mean, folks, this is such garbage. It's ridiculous. And these new right-wingers, these establishment right-wingers that took over MAGA and have turned it into another swamp operation, they love it. They love this slop. And they're pissed at you because you won't eat it with them. They're pissed at you because you won't play in the slop with them. Yes, guys, you should have known it all along. It's been Iran running the cocaine business in America. This whole time, it's been Iran. It's ludicrous. And I'll tell you what, if there is any business connected to Hezbollah or Iran with the cocaine racket in Venezuela, the CIA is running it. So just stop. Just stop. They're now using Hezbollah and Iran to sell you regime change in Venezuela, and people are falling for it. Pure, unadulterated slop. That's the word of the day. You're going to be so sick of me saying slop, and that's by design. I want you to be sick of the slop. I want you to be nauseated by the slop. U.S. military buildup in Caribbean sees bombers, Marines, and warships converge near Venezuela because we're taking on the Venezuela, Iran, Hezbollah cocaine trafficking. Yeah. You know, Kash Patel was asked about this. Kash Patel declines to offer legal justification for Trump administration strikes on Venezuelan boats. It's because he doesn't have it. It's because he doesn't have the legal justification. But who's going to come after him? He's attacking Hezbollah terrorists. He's attacking deadly drug dealers. You see, It all goes back to what I opened the show with. What are we talking about today? We're talking about taking on Hezbollah in Venezuela. We're talking about bombing drug boats with no evidence that they're drug boats. We're not talking about the Epstein clients going to jail. We're not talking about Doge saving us hundreds of billions, trillions of dollars. We're not talking about audits of all the waste, fraud, and abuse and the criminals going to jail. We're not talking about deep state arrest. We're not talking about America getting out of foreign wars. We're getting more involved in foreign wars. We're not talking about how we've ended foreign aid and kept all the money to America. We're not talking about the federal bureaucracies being shut. We're not talking about the taxes being cut. We're not talking about houses being more affordable. We're not talking about the bills going down. We're not talking about any of that stuff. We're talking about taking on Iran and Hezbollah in Venezuela and stopping the cocaine trade. That's what we're talking about today, because that's what you voted for, MAGA. I remember it. It was a pillar of the campaign. It was a pillar, a cornerstone. We all remember, right? That's what it was. Regime change in Venezuela. Bomb the boats. We all remember it. That's what we voted for. Colombian president accuses U.S. of murdering fishermen in boat strike. Who knows? Trump says he's a drug dealer. Hey, I got an idea. You want to end all this? You would really want to take on the cartels? You really want to destroy the cartels' drug industry? Oh, I'm sorry. The Iran drug industry. The Hezbollah drug industry. That's the new narrative. Iran and Hezbollah are running the drug trafficking at the southern border, guys. Totally legitimate. Totally real. More excuse to go after Iran, too. Don't you love that? They get to kill two birds with one stone here. We get to go after Venezuela and blame Iran, and then we also get to go after Iran, too. Brilliant political marketing. And the slop-tards fall for it every time. They go back for seconds, for thirds, for fourths. Here's an idea. Do you want to stop the cartel's drug trafficking operation? Do you want to stop their millions of dollars for this drug trafficking operation at our southern border? Do you want to stop it? Because we all know how. We all know how. It's very simple. It's called legalize it. Yeah. It's called legalize it. The only reason they're able to make millions of dollars, the only motivating factor for the entire business operation is that it's illegal in the United States of America. You make cocaine legal tomorrow, there is no more drug cartel. It's gone. And it goes right back to the biggest drug cartel in the world, which is the big pharmaceutical drug cartel. That's the biggest drug cartel in the world, is the pharmaceutical drug cartel. So let them handle it. You seem to be okay with those drug cartels. Those drug cartels are good. They're above board. So let them handle it. Let them sell cocaine or whatever the hell else comes in over the southern border and just legalize it. Because you know what? If somebody wants cocaine in this country, they're getting it. They're getting it. And by the way, it just so happens to be called freedom. I'm not endorsing drug use. Quite the contrary. I endorse sobriety. I endorse not doing drugs. But let's stop playing games here. If you want to stop the cartel operation, legalize all the drugs. Let Johnson & Johnson sell cocaine over the counter. Go ahead. If you listen to this and you don't do cocaine, you don't like to go to the club and snort a line in the bathroom, then guess what? You're still not going to do it tomorrow, are you? But if you are into that type of thing, you're going to do it no matter what. There's your solution. You want to end the drug cartel operations, legalize all the drugs, and they'll be out of business. Let the legitimate cartels, let the big pharmaceutical cartels, let Pfizer run it. Let them sell the cocaine. You won't have to worry about the other cartels anymore. Just let the bigwigs do it. Let the legal drug cartels do it. And I still won't do cocaine. And everything will be fine. And then we can tax it. How about that? Then you can tax the cocaine. Look at me calling for more taxes. What is wrong with me? Something has happened. I take it back. Just saying. But they're not actually interested in that, because then they can't sell weapons and buy weapons. The military-industrial complex continuing. The war on drugs complex continuing. So they don't want actual solutions. They just want the exchange of money and power and to be in control of it. And they sell you the same slop every time. All right. This is what we're talking about. North Carolina Senate advances new congressional maps to help Republicans gain additional U.S. House seat. You hear the Democrats threatening, oh, we're going to gerrymander too. There's nothing left for you guys to gerrymander. I mean, I suppose you could win every single seat in the state of Illinois and California. I suppose you could probably find a way to pull that off. If you really had to, you could jigsaw puzzle up these districts and find a way that every single district in New York and Illinois and California went all for the Democrats. But you're virtually there already. Republicans still get, at worst, 45% of the votes, and then they get 10% of the representation. So you've already gerrymandered this thing into oblivion. So these threats that the Democrats are going to gerrymander back against the Republicans, it's an empty threat. They've already done it all. There's nothing left for them to take, folks. And this will likely save the House for the Republicans, I would say, because politically the Republicans are losing badly. And it's kind of counterintuitive, because that's not even really true. But Democrats are losing, but so are Republicans. That's the best way to put it. Democrats might be losing bigger, but the Republicans are losing too. There's never been more thirst for a third party. There's never been more of a thirst to break apart the two-party, uniparty system ever than there is today. Ever. And you're going to see that the left is going to start to lean into this. And it's mostly just for political survival. But you're going to see the left lean into this. They might actually let Bernie run. They might actually let Bernie run at 85 years old for president. I'm dead serious, because they see the writing on the wall. They see the writing on the wall. And they've fought it long enough. Once you see them embrace Mamdani, once you see them embrace AOC, that's when you know the Democrats are accepting the fate. That the average American voter is sick of both parties and is looking for something drastic. And so on the left, that's going to be communism. It's going to be social, cultural, revolutionary type stuff. And on the right, that's a desperation for small government. That's a desperation to shrink the size of government and shrink its involvement in our life. And that's something that the Republicans have pretty much failed on. And this is probably the biggest failure so far, this administration, because we were actually told we'd be getting something else. But the redistricting could save the House for Republicans. So even though they're going to be hemorrhaging without Trump on the ballot, and hemorrhaging that a lot of the issues that people voted for, they're not getting any deliverance on, the redistricting could save the House for the Republicans. So I would say that's going to be very key. And the Democrats know it. That's why they're panicked. That's why they're panicked. The redistricting will probably cost them the midterms. They know that. So then you've got this Democrat in Maine, Graham Plantner, who is running against Susan Collins. Now, they've unearthed the Reddit posts and social media posts. You know, he's a racist, bigot, Nazi, whatever it all is, you know. Now they find this image where he has a tattoo on his chest that appears to be a Nazi symbol, the Totenkopf. How do we feel about that? How do we feel about that little skull and bones there, by the way? The Totenkopf. Be honest. Be honest. If you didn't know that it was a Nazi symbol, what would you think about it? I'm not going to lie. I like it. I think it's pretty cool. It's a different twist on the skull and crossbones. If you didn't know that was a Nazi skull and crossbones, would you think it's pretty cool? Would you buy it on a hat? Would I be bad if I sold that on a hat or a T-shirt? I'd be lying if I told you I didn't think about it. But then it'd be, you know what it would be. You know what it would be. So it's like, okay, fine. The Totenkopf. So now this guy's running around. I'm sick of the inconsistencies. I might have to jump. I might have to leap forward in my coverage here in a second to make this point, because I'm just sick of the inconsistencies. And anybody that follows my work knows that's one of my biggest pet peeves. And I always try to remain logically consistent. And if I'm not, I call myself out. I've already done it today. Oh my gosh, he's got a Nazi tattoo. All right. So what are we saying? So we have zero tolerance then for Nazi tattoos. Is that what we're saying? What are we saying? If you have a Nazi tattoo, that disqualifies you from running for office, that disqualifies you from being accepted as a person, as a human being. You should get no support from the general masses of humanity. What are we saying here? So you've got the Nazi tattoo, so you can't run for office. What are we saying? Now, the Democrats are standing by this guy. But again, my issue is the lack of consistency. The same people that will be up in arms over this Totenkopf that I would like to sell on a hat. Would that make me irredeemable? I didn't know. The same people that will write stories about this and be up in arms about this supposed Nazi tattoo, they will tell you we need to give more money to Ukraine, where some of the top generals, specifically in the Azov battalion, all sport Nazi tattoos, swastikas, everything else. They invited a known Nazi to be honored at a parliamentary hearing in Canada. So if you don't like the Nazi tattoo on this guy who's running for office, then why can't you be against the Nazi tattoos on the soldiers in Ukraine that you can't go a month without cutting another check? I'm just looking for logical consistency here. But let me jump, because I do have more election news. But you know what? Let me jump to something else here real quick, because it's in the same vein. So Tucker Carlson has a guest on his show, Dr. Andrew Huff, great American. And they talk about, here's some of the quotes from the interview here that I have just video pulled up on X. COVID-19 had been engineered so that Ashkenazi Jews were immune. That's scientifically true. There was a finding in a scientific publication that people of Jewish ancestry, which line they're from, one was more heavily impacted than the other, Ashkenazi Jews. So they're talking about this on Tucker Carlson's podcast. What we also know for a fact now is that the virus was lab created, which means they can literally design a bioweapon to target those receptors, which means they have the potential to target certain races. Now, for whatever it's worth as an anecdote here, this was basically the plot line in the most recent James Bond movie. I forget what it's called. What was the new Bond movie? No Time to Die? That was an older one, I think. Something like that. The new Bond movie was all about race-specific bioweapons. And they could basically design, say, a virus that could only target, your DNA. Or you could do a more generalized type of DNA, like black people, white people, whatever. This is part of the most recent James Bond plot, which they always love to pepper in some reality. Like when they were talking about building a spy grid. Remember that one? Yeah. Those are the two most recent Bond movies. The building of the spy grid and then the engineering of race-specific targeted bioweapons. All right. So to get to the point here. So now everybody's attacking Tucker Carlson. You know, how dare he? Everything is the Jews. Everything is the Jews. And posts like this. Well, where were you when RFK said it? RFK said this originally over a year ago, actually over 2 years ago now. COVID-19 actually raised the fertility rate of Jewish Israeli women. The opposite of what happened in many other countries where it killed the fertility rate. That's from Israel News. JFK Jr. says COVID was ethnically targeted to spare Jews. So this is not even new. This story has been out there. It came out of Israeli news originally. RFK Jr. then reported on these facts over 2 years ago. This is not even a new story. But now that Tucker Carlson is the messenger, now you have a problem. Now you attack. So what is my point here? Whenever you have an issue, whether it's a Nazi tattoo, whether it's a story about COVID and its intent in creation, whatever, if you don't have the same response to a piece of information, no matter who the source is, then you're brainwashed. You are propagandized. And that's what this is. So if RFK Jr. says it, you don't respond. If Tucker Carl says it, you go nuts. If the Azov Battalion Ukraine soldiers have a Nazi tattoo, you want to send them more money. If a Democrat candidate has a Nazi tattoo, they're ineligible to run for office. This is how you can see. This is a litmus test to see, are you brainwashed or not? Are you propagandized or not? Do you even have control over your own mind or not? If you can't respond to the same piece of information in the same way from two different sources, then you are brainwashed. Then you are propagandized. And just because you hate Tucker Carlson, because of foreign policy disagreement, you now will relentlessly attack Tucker Carlson for delivering the exact same piece of information that Israeli News and RFK Jr. both delivered over 2 years ago, and you didn't say anything. You said nothing. But now that it's Tucker Carlson who you hate, now you have a problem. Now that it's a Democrat who you hate, now you have a problem. And this is where I have a problem. Because if it can't be applied universally, it's not logic, it's propaganda. All right. Let's finish off. I think I can clear the deck of the election news before I get to some of the other geopolitical news in the stack for today. So Sliwa is again claiming that he was offered money to drop out of the race. Now, this gets more interesting. Now, I already had my suspicions of where this money was coming from. I kind of voiced those yesterday. It appears now that Sliwa has confirmed it, but let's hear him. This was he on Fox News yesterday talking about being offered the money.
That means if you talk to me and you offer me a bribe, which is unethical, it could be illegal, and I'm going to have to run right to Alvin Bragg and his investigators, and you could be in double trouble. That means...
So I'd like to see that happen. Now, I don't know. This post here says 10 million. I didn't hear him say 10 million in that clip. I heard him say 25 million in a clip from last week. 25 million. Sliwa was offered to drop out of the race. Now, Eric Adams obviously took a deal, but he was compromised. So yesterday I said, where would the money be coming from? It's pretty obvious where it's coming from. It's coming from the same lobby that is trying to get Cuomo across the finish line. It's the same foreign lobby that everybody else has a problem with. And in New York City, maybe it makes more sense. The largest Jewish population in the United States of America. They obviously don't want a Muslim to be the mayor. So they're doing everything they can to try to stop Mamdani from becoming president. But it's too late now, unfortunately. It's too late. You don't have an accurate political barometer. You don't have an accurate political thermometer. And then the people that do, like myself, that try to give you the real temperature in the room, the real pressure in the room, you don't listen to us. So you get surprised when Mamdani wins. But that's what I said. I said, this is the same lobby that's trying to tell Cuomo to wave an Israeli flag. It's the same lobby that's sending all the different digital influencers for Netanyahu, like Emily Austin, to go do press, to go do puff for Cuomo, the nursing home killer, the nursing home nanny killer. By the way, there's an Indian celebration happening at the White House right now. You want to look at that? They're lighting an Indian candle. This is fun. We'll just have that in the background because that's so great. There's Trump looks like he's really enjoying it too here. You got Harmeet Dillon in there, who I think is great, by the way. So you've got the Diwali celebration happening in the Oval today. There's their special little candle. It looks like Trump's going to get in on the action here too. So you got that going on. You want to see Trump light a candle? It's my favorite candle. You know, sometimes there's some other candles in here. One specifically, we all know what it is. We all see it. It's in here all the time. It's everywhere. But we got a new candle today, and my friends with the other candle might be a little upset, but we love everybody here. We love them all. We love our Indians. We love our Diwali, okay? We love it. You know who reached out to me, by the way, who I haven't spoken to in years? Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai. Should I get Dr. Shiva on the show? All right, so he's taking questions now. So getting back to Sliwa. So Sliwa's claiming somebody is offering him tens of millions of dollars to drop out of the race. I still presume that it's the same people that are trying to fund Cuomo right now behind the scenes. Now, we'll see if anything comes of this, as Sliwa says he's going to go to Alvin Bragg. So here's the New York Post, and we know where they stand on this issue. Now they're attacking Sliwa. Pressure for Curtis Sliwa to ditch New York City's mayor race reaches fever pitch as his boss, GOP bigwig John Katsimaitis, calls on him to drop out. Folks, the Republicans have one candidate in this race. One. They have one. And he's actually a great candidate. Now, he's not a polished, charismatic politician, which is a problem, but he's a great man. He's a great New Yorker. He's a great background. Republicans have ignored this guy. Republicans aren't doing any promos for this guy. Republicans aren't helping Sliwa. They're letting him run around and rat-infested New York City on the streets. A ground campaign. There's no major GOP effort. And now that they realize Mamdani's about to win, they're all pushing for Cuomo. Tell me why the New York Post is backing Cuomo. Tell me why all of Netanyahu's digital influencers are backing Cuomo. It's disgusting. You should all be ashamed of yourselves for what you have done to Curtis Sliwa. And you know what's worse? It'd be one thing if maybe Cuomo had a chance. Then it'd be one thing. If you were that desperate to keep Mamdani out for all the different reasons, if you were that desperate to keep Mamdani out and Cuomo had a real chance to win, it would be one thing. Cuomo has no shot to win. He's known as the nanny nursing home killer, the granny nursing home killer, a total scumbag governor. Remember nipple ring gate? And this is who the Republicans are telling Republicans to vote for, Andrew Cuomo. And they're gonna attack Curtis Sliwa in the process. You are disgusting. See, this is why Republicans are losing, folks. And that's not a compare and contrast to the Democrats. That's an isolated issue. Republicans are losing support. They're losing support. And this is a perfect example why. They would rather back Cuomo. They would rather throw their weight and support behind Cuomo than Sliwa. And the one stand-up guy running as a Republican in New York City, putting his face out there on the streets, and you guys are throwing him under the bus. And today you're attacking him for not dropping out. The same digital influencers are attacking Sliwa for not dropping out. You people are shameless. It's disgusting what you've done to Curtis Sliwa. You should have been backing him day one. But you were too busy fiddling around with other issues, weren't you? You were too busy fiddling around in other countries, weren't you? And now you're about to get a Muslim communist mayor, and you're begging Republicans to vote for Cuomo to try to stop it? Disgusting what you've done to Sliwa. He doesn't deserve this. And I hope he takes it personally. And I hope he calls out all of you rats. All of you rats on the right. Yeah, New York City's infested with rats. So is right-wing politics, in case you haven't noticed. Maybe we need to bring Sliwa into the administration to deal with some of these rats running around Republican Party politics, telling you to vote for Cuomo, telling Sliwa to drop out of the race. Disgusting. The one guy who's on the streets every day, the one Republican that dare put his name out there to run for mayor, and you want to tar and feather him because he won't drop out? You want to try to buy him off to drop out? You are the rats. All right, to finish off the election news, Brian Harrison, seemingly the only conservative Republican in the Texas legislature. When establishment Texan Republicans, politicians tell you they're taking election integrity seriously, they're lying to you. The fact is we passed almost zero serious pieces of election integrity legislation this entire year. Indefensible. This is in response to Texas. This news broke this morning. Texas finds thousands of illegal immigrants registered to vote on state voter rolls. Over 2,000 non-citizens, in fact, which can swing a local election, ladies and gentlemen. That is a serious number. Brian Harrison, the only Republican in Texas who's even willing to say anything about it.
You're listening to the Owen Report on the Win Network.
On the cutting edge of news and analysis, the Owen Report with Owen Schroyer.
Orville Peck bringing us in. Orville Peck. Country fans out there might know him. That's a hidden gem. That's a hidden gem right there. Orville Peck from the album Bronco, a hidden gem if you like classic country there. So I guess we got some news out of the White House. We got some news out of the White House here. I do want to go to J.D. Vance in Israel. We got a couple of clips of Vance in Israel. And then we have some other videos from the Hill, other videos from overseas. Let's get into the news in the White House, and then we will transition into the geopolitical. So the White House shared this today. Fact check. Criminal illegal aliens are receiving taxpayer-funded Medicaid. President Trump and Republicans are fighting to ensure taxpayer dollars prioritize American citizens first. Well, you got a long way to go there. See, I can't even, I'm so gaslit, like I can't even cover the news. President Trump and Republicans are fighting to ensure taxpayer dollars prioritize American citizens first. I'm just so sick of the lies. We 40 billion for Argentina, 30 billion for Ukraine, 30 billion for Israel, more weapons, more strikes, more war. None of that prioritizes the American people. Stop gaslighting me. It's like I want to be positive here. You're doing something with the criminal illegals. You're stopping some of the swamp activity. I want to celebrate it here, but it's just, can you just not gaslight me? You are not doing everything to ensure taxpayer dollars prioritize American citizens first. You are not. That is a lie. Anyway. So they all lie. Karine Jean-Pierre, we're not funding illegal aliens Medicaid. They were the whole time. Everybody knew it. It was even part of the Democrat Party platform in California. So they put this list out there of all the people that have been deported that were receiving Medicaid. Oh, nice. They had a rapist here, smugglers, murderers, a strangulation. Nice. That was a good one. He was getting Medicaid from El Salvador. He's just strangling people, running around. Attempted murder, assault with a deadly weapon, kidnapping, murder, kidnapping, rape. These are just all the illegal aliens that they've deported here that the Democrats are trying to keep in the country. So that's nice. These people were getting Medicaid, and they claimed it wasn't happening, and we all knew it was. Argentina beef. Trump's new plan sparks fury after bailout. And then he said to the American people, the Argentinians have nothing, okay? They have nothing. So what? I'm not an Argentinian. Like, what is this crap? We're doing everything to make sure U.S. taxpayer dollars only go towards American causes. By the way, here's $40 billion for Argentina's beef, okay? Thank you. Thank you. No, Americans are suffering financially, Mr. President. I'm sure the Argentinians are having their own issues. It's not my problem. I'm not an Argentinian, and you're not the president of Argentina. Farmers are not happy. So another group of disenfranchised Republicans. President Donald Trump's new plan to purchase additional beef from Argentina to lower prices for consumers in the United States has sparked backlash from critics and alarm from some American producers as the administration already faces questions and criticisms for its recent $20 billion bailout of the South American nation. That's $20 billion on top of another $20 billion. That's where that $40 billion comes from. Meanwhile, Meriwether Farms, a beef producer based in Wyoming that said it supports and loves Trump, described the plan as an absolute betrayal to the American cattle rancher. The continued manipulation and betrayal by the very people who claim to support the cattle ranchers needs to end immediately. Yeah, more total betrayal, and then we're told it's America first. It's total betrayal in your face, and then they say, this is America first. And then all the slop mongers, all the slop dealers tell you, see, it's America first. This is what I voted for. The White House starts demolishing part of the East Wing to build Trump's ballroom. It's all about a ballroom, guys. We're going to get a ballroom before we get a new bridge in Baltimore. We're going to get a ballroom before we get new infrastructure, new airports. We're going to get a ballroom before we get anything else because we need that ballroom. Trump is paying for this himself, I believe, isn't he? $250 million ballroom. The White House said it has begun tearing down part of the East Wing, the traditional base for operations for the First Lady, to build President Trump's $250 million ballroom, despite lacking approval for construction from the federal agency that oversees such projects. I do believe, I think he's paying for this himself. At least that was the original narrative. I don't know if that's going to be the case. We're getting a ballroom. You won't be invited to that ballroom, by the way. That's only for the big donors. That's only for the loyalists. That's only for the slop salesmen. Treasury, because remember, they had the big issue over the funding at the Fed and how much money that was going to cost. Treasury tells employees not to share photos of the White House ballroom construction and don't ask about the costs either. Okay? It's America first. You voted for a new ballroom. And it's like, I wouldn't even complain about this stuff. I really don't even care about a stupid ballroom. And if he wants to pay for it, it's fine. It's just more slop. Representative Andy Ogles sounds the alarm after Obama appointed anti-Trump judge Ted Chuang assigned to oversee John Bolton case. Well, you know what that means. They're all going to get away with it, folks. They're all going to get away with it. Now, I don't believe that Trump is going to pardon Diddy. I don't know. That would be an unbelievable embarrassment. That would be an unbelievable political mismeasurement unless he's got something else planned. I don't really believe those reports coming out of TMZ. They're standing by him, even after the administration has wholeheartedly denied that they're going to pardon Diddy. TMZ says, well, we're sticking by it. So I don't believe it. But it's all the same difference. It's all the same difference. There's a reason why you're not going to see any Epstein arrests. You're not going to see any Epstein client lists. You're not going to see John Bolton. You're not going to see James Comey. You're not going to see Letitia James going to jail. I hope I'm wrong. But until it happens, I'm not. Supreme Court will decide if habitual drug users lose their gun rights under Second Amendment. Well, this shouldn't even be up for debate if you're a conservative. This shouldn't be up for debate if you're a Second Amendment activist. The answer is no. Of course you don't lose your gun rights. Trump's lawyers say this limit on gun rights comports with early American history when common drunkards couldn't have guns. What are we talking about? California, is that in the Constitution? California and 31 other states have laws restricting gun possession by drug users and drug addicts. What, like Hunter Biden? But nobody wants to talk about all the pharmaceutical pills that these killers are on. So that's the plan then, I guess. Legalize marijuana. And then the minute you step foot in a marijuana store, no more Second Amendment for you, bud. Pun not intended. No more Second Amendment for you, because it always said shall not be infringed unless you use a drug that the U.S. government doesn't approve of. Then you lose your rights. And you watch. Conservatives and Second Amendment activists are all over this. They're drooling over this infringement of your Second Amendment right. And I'm surprised they didn't make a bigger deal out of this story from yesterday. Authorities prevent possible mass shooting at Atlanta airport after rifle-wielding man threatens to shoot up terminal. Apparently, he was a marijuana user himself. And this obviously could have been really bad. A family sent in a tip that stopped this from getting worse. But he showed up with a gun and ammunition. This man seems to be out of his mind. Basically, the details of the story would lead you to believe this is a very deranged individual, 49-year-old man here. And it really just shows how worthless the whole TSA thing is, because he could have, this is like, ugh. You feel sick just thinking about it, just talking about it. But obviously, if he was trying to commit a mass shooting, he's trying to do it at the TSA checkpoint. So I guess that kind of defeats the purpose then, doesn't it? Luckily, the family gave in a tip. Nobody was hurt. Not a shot fired as he was brought in by law enforcement before anything could happen. But I'm surprised they didn't tie that to the drug use deal and say, see? All right, Politico is reporting Trump's second meeting with Vladimir Putin is off. Well, I don't know where Politico is getting its intel because Lavrov is saying differently. Lavrov tells CNN and other U.S. media outlets that are claiming the Trump-Putin meeting in Budapest has been postponed. It is not true. It's fake news. So somebody's trying to sabotage the Trump-Putin meeting. They're trying to sabotage USA-Russian relations. That's what's going on here. Who would be afraid of U.S.-Russia relations? Well, probably China. So maybe it's China, but I don't see China with too much influence in this administration, not internally, not intimately. Maybe the military-industrial complex assets that are in there because they want the war in Ukraine to keep going. That could be it. But the meeting is still on. I would love to. Still would just love to see it. I'd love to see the day where our greatest ally becomes Russia. It would be the most powerful international partnership on the planet. It'd be the only thing that could probably stop the rise of China that is currently happening. It would be the one thing that could unleash an actual competitive market of rare earth minerals without China having the monopoly on it and the refineries. It's the only way to do it. But because of all these Cold War era neocon war hawks, they've tried to stop this from happening. And they've pushed Russia right into the arms of China with awful foreign policy decisions. Hopefully Trump can change that. Hopefully President Trump can change that. Now, talking about Ukraine, there is a video, stunning stuff here, that encapsulates the amount of death. This is shared from Lenka White. Tragic footage of graves of Ukrainian soldiers outside of Dnipro. The rows of new graves are marked with identical plaques. Temporarily unidentified defender of Ukraine. No names, no dates, just a number. 2 million of Ukrainian soldiers have lost their lives, some estimates say. Similar sections have appeared in Zaporizhia, Kharkiv, and Cherkasy, cemeteries where death, not people, keeps the count. In official briefings, Ukraine military losses appear modest, but the ground tells a different story, especially after heavy fighting. Truckloads of bodies arrive from the front lines and shelling sites. Drones and artillery leave little chance for identification. The remains are burned, torn apart, unrecognizable. Morgues are overflowing. DNA analysis drags on for months, and the lists of unidentified move forward as slowly as a bureaucratic convoy until a match is found. The dead remain unidentified. On paper, they're temporarily missing. For families, there is only silence. And then you can see the video here is just, it's like multiple football fields full of graves. Unidentified Ukrainians. And where are all the peaceniks that claim to be anti-war surrounding Trump? And they're not. They're very pro-war. In fact, this administration, it's a paradox, because I do believe Trump is anti-war. I do believe that. And I do believe that Trump is trying to negotiate peace deals and stop the killing in as many different wars as he can. I do believe that is true. But it seems that the force of Washington, D.C., it seems like the momentum of the military-industrial complex and our foreign policy that it aims to please is just too great for Trump to stop it. It's just too great for even the president to stop it. And so the war drums continue. So now it's Venezuela, it's Iran, it's Russia. Where is it next? It never stops. There's always a new one. This is no peacetime president. I'm sorry, President Trump. Maybe it's not even your fault. But you're not a peacetime president. You continue to have us involved in foreign wars. You continue to have U.S. treasure invested in wars that are tallying up death totals of over 1 million people across the world. Now you're posturing our military against Venezuela. You're not a peacetime president. You're a wartime president. You are. You're a wartime president. Against your wishes, against your will, against what you want, against what you're fighting for, maybe. But it's just the truth. You're a wartime president. And if you don't want to be a wartime president, it's very simple. Stop funding these foreign wars. Not another dime for Ukraine. Not another dime for Israel. No more military intervention against Venezuela. All of it stops. Then you can claim to be a peacetime president. But until then, you're a wartime president. And your policies indicate just that. And they know they could have never won this. They know Ukraine could have never won this. The entire time. I've been seeing stories like this for 2 years, more. Ukraine cannot win against Russia, warns British Field Marshal. Multiple military experts and leaders in Europe have been saying the same thing, just like in America. The real sober minds, the real military minds have been saying this for 2 years, that there is no victory for Ukraine here. And now Trump actually comes out and tries to say the common sense thing. And he says, look, the death is going to continue. Ukraine will lose millions of people. You need to stop this. And yes, that means you're going to have to relinquish the land that you've lost. Otherwise, you're going to lose everything. And he's 100% right. But again, this force, this force of nature of just more war in D.C., not even Trump can stop it. But he's 100% right. He says, if you guys don't relinquish this land and come to terms with Russia, then you're going to lose everything. You're going to lose another 1 million men. And eventually they are going to surround Kiev and you're going to lose everything. And then Ukraine might fall. That's the reality. And Trump calls it out and says that's going to be the case. They don't care. Zelensky doesn't care. NATO doesn't care. The EU doesn't care. The warmongers in D.C. don't care. Even though they've known for years there was no victory for Ukraine here. There was only victory for the CIA, the proxy armies, the weapon launderers, the money launderers. That's who's winning. Now, Trump released this statement earlier today on the situation in the Middle East. Numerous of our now great allies in the Middle East and areas surrounding the Middle East have explicitly and strongly, with great enthusiasm, informed me that they would welcome the opportunity at my request to go into Gaza with a heavy force and straighten out Hamas if Hamas continues to act badly in violation of their agreement with us. The love and spirit for the Middle East has not been seen like this in 1,000 years. It is a beautiful thing to behold. I told these countries and Israel, not yet. There is still hope that Hamas will do what is right. If they do not, an end to Hamas will be fast, furious, and brutal. I would like to thank all those countries that called to help. Also, I would like to thank the great and powerful country of Indonesia and its wonderful leader for all of the help they have shown and given to the Middle East and to the USA. To everybody, thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. Well, so Trump knows that they lied about Hamas popping out of a tunnel and firing a rocket. He knows. And that's why after the initial intelligence briefings, he came out and said, well, it looks like maybe it was just some rogue people. Maybe it was just a couple rogue people that were left over there hiding out. That's what it looks like. That was basically him saying we were lied to. It wasn't Hamas. But I can't tell you that Israel lies to you. Otherwise, that'd be all I have to say. Because they lie to us all the time. Just look now, Israel saying, we didn't destroy the nuclear sites. So Trump knows they lied about Hamas doing it. He knows that some Israeli excavator blew up a bomb and killed off-duty IDF soldiers. And then Israel killed 100 people in response. But the real question is Trump serious about, what he's saying is the U.S. is going to go to war with Hamas. That's what he's saying. And we're going to go to these clips of J.D. Vance because they're trying to have their cake and eat it too. Folks, there's already boots on the ground. No, there won't be any boots on the ground. There's already boots on the ground. There's already military personnel and assets on the ground. So this idea that there are no boots on the ground, there are no U.S. boots on the ground in Israel, in Gaza, is a lie. It's a complete lie. Which makes me think they're getting ready to go in. So what is Trump thinking here? Is Trump thinking, all right, if Israel does another false flag, then we'll just go in and take care of it. We'll just send in our people and go in and take care of it. That's what he's basically saying here. Or is he basically just showing force and saying, hey, I'm in charge. Hamas, you better be on your best behavior or we're going in. Is he saber-rattling and is he threatening? Or is he signaling to Israel, hey, you guys run another false flag, I'll green light an invasion? Because he knows it. He knows it was a lie. He knows Hamas didn't pop out of a tunnel and fire an RPG at 2 IDF soldiers. Total lie. So why is he putting this message out? Now, Trump envoy in Israel, as UN warns aid supplies in Gaza are way below what is needed. Well, that's because Israel is blocking it. So it's like they're blocking it, they're opening it. Israel's just running total roughshod over it. But the aid isn't getting in, not what they agreed to. Israel's still blocking the aid. Trump says Gaza ceasefire still in place after Israeli strikes. Over 100 people have died now since the ceasefire. Israel has dropped over 150 tons of bombs since the ceasefire. Israel has violated the ceasefire, but never gets blamed for it because they lie and say it's Hamas. It's always Hamas. Everything is Hamas. People are just sick of it, man. Israel, handle your business. I don't care. Just stop lying to my people. Stop propagandizing my people. Stop buying my political whores that then control my foreign policy so that we make sure you're always protected and the American people get nothing. Just stop it. I don't care. Do whatever you want to do. It's not my fight. But just stop lying to us. Stop gaslighting us. But I can't blame them. Israel cares about Israel. You got to give it that. You got to give them that. Israel cares about Israel. Even non-Israelis. American Jews care more about Israel than American politicians care about America. So, yeah, of course, Israel's like, oh, you mean we can buy American politicians and then they serve our interests? Of course. Why wouldn't they? Because Israel cares about Israel. It's too bad America doesn't care about America. America seems to care more about Israel. So, yeah, I don't blame Israel. I don't blame the Israeli lobbyists. They see a bunch of political whores in Congress. They buy them off to serve their interest. It's pretty basic stuff. That's our problem, folks, that we have corrupt sellout politicians that are traitors to this country. And that's what they are. They're traitors. I'm just done with the lies. A rock falls off a mountain and lands on an Israeli camp. Hamas! An Israeli stubs his toe, getting into his war truck. Hamas! An Israeli runs over a bomb, blows himself up. Hamas! See America? Come in. Come on the ground. More money, more war. Just sick of it. Now, let's get to the J.D. Vance clips. J.D. Vance in Israel. I got 3 of these clips. Let's just start here Am I taking crazy pills? What is JD Vance talking about? Am I taking crazy pills when he says this?
Good afternoon, everybody. It's great to have you. Look, I think that we are 1 week into President Trump's historic peace plan in the Middle East, and things are going, frankly, better than I expected that they were. This is a very, very tough situation. You have two peoples, two enemies who have fought a very tough conflict against each other. You have a terrorist organization on one hand that murdered a lot of innocent people. You've got an Israeli army that was defending itself on the other that has learned a lot over the past couple of years. And, of course, you have an innocent civilian population.
I'm sorry. It's just defending itself, except on October 7th when they stood down so they can start the whole war. You know.
In Gaza that's caught in the middle. But we're here at the Civilian Military Cooperation Center, which we are announcing the opening of. You have Israelis and Americans working hand in hand to try to begin the plan to rebuild Gaza.
Boots on the ground. Boots on the ground.
To implement a long-term peace and to actually ensure that you have security forces on the ground in Gaza, not composed of Americans, who can keep the peace over the long term. So we've got a lot of work left to do. This is going to take a very, very long time. But I think Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner, and Admiral Cooper behind me have done an incredible job. I want to say just a couple of quick things, and then I want to turn it over to Steve Witkoff. Number one, the Israeli government has been remarkably helpful in this. I want to thank them, thank our Israeli partners, and all the folks particularly.
Wait, what? The Israeli government has been very helpful in this? What are you talking about? This is an Israeli issue. What do you mean the Israeli government has been very helpful? This is an Israeli issue. This is us being helpful for them. This isn't the what are we talking about here? Pure slop. Complete and total slop. Israel's been very helpful of this. Dude, you're in a foreign country. You're in a foreign country talking about a foreign war that we are now totally involved in. And you're saying, thank you, Israel, for the help? What in the hell is going on here? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. Israel should be thanking us. Israel should be kissing our feet, washing our feet, showering us with money and praise and everything else in between. But it's you thanking them? Israel would be nothing without us. Oh, that's not true. Oh, here we go. Oh, that's not true. We got a strategic partnership and we need a this and a that. And really? Really? Let me ask you a question. If Israel doesn't need us, then why are they so panicked at the American population wanting to divorce from Israel? Why are they so panicked? Why is the Israeli lobby in an absolute state of panic and fear that the American people no longer want to send any foreign aid to Israel and they want to shut down AIPAC? Why is that? If Israel doesn't need America, then why are you so panicked now that America is trying to draw away? Why? Why is that? Oh, we know why. Because you do need us. You're nothing without us. Why is my vice president in a foreign country saying thank you to the foreign government for helping in a foreign affair? They should be thanking you. They should be thanking us. Is Israel in the United States of America helping us deport violent criminals? No. Is Israel in the United States helping to defend our border, stopping drugs and guns from coming in? No. Is Israel in the United States helping President Trump try to clean up the inner cities that are riddled with violence? No. Why are we thanking Israel? Did Israel go to North Carolina to help the victims of the flood? No. No. Did Israel go to Maui after the wildfires? Did Israel go to the Palisades after the wildfires? No. No. But we always go over there to help with their issues. We always give them more money when they need money. We always give them more weapons when they need more weapons. And then we thank them? What kind of bizarro world is this? Am I taking crazy pills? The ceasefire is going better than expected. It's not going at all. There is no ceasefire. There never was a ceasefire. It's all propaganda. It's all slop. The killing started less than 24 hours after the deal was inked. Israel kept killing right up to the buzzer. There was no ceasefire. It was all fake. and you say it's going great, and thank you, Israel, for all the help, you're literally in Israel helping Israel with their problem, and you're thanking them for their help. Pure slop. Disgusting.
Particularly who are working hand in hand with their American friends here at the CMCC. And number two, I want to say that there is this weird attitude I've sensed in the American media, in the Western media, where there's almost this desire to root for failure, that every time
Nobody's rooting for failure. We're just reporting the facts.
something bad happens, that every time that there's an
Every time something bad happens, like every day.
act of violence, there's this inclination to say, oh, this is the end of the ceasefire. This is the end of the peace plan.
Listen to this. This is insane. This is the worst JD Vance has ever. This is so sad. Isn't it sad? Isn't it amazing how this works? Isn't it just amazing how this works and how this happens? I like JD Vance. I still like JD Vance. Totally disagree with this address, but it's just like, this goes beyond JD Vance. It's like you can have an honest person. You can have an honest politician, presenter, commentator, pundit, whatever. And then they'll sit there and lie to your face about what's happening in Israel. Like you're too stupid. Just because they're killing again doesn't mean the ceasefire isn't working. JD, that's exactly what it means. That's quite literally the definition of the ceasefire failing is when they don't cease to fire. And you're sitting here saying it's going great and thank you, Israel, for helping. JD, what is going on, man? Why is it? Why can't our politicians? It's like they can be based on all these new issues now, but we're always going to lie to you about Israel. We're always going to propagandize you and gaslight you about Israel. And we're always going to make sure that whatever Israelis' interests are, we're going to put first. And we're going to tell whatever lies necessary to do it. And you're shocked that the American people are sick of it? We didn't sign on for Make Israel Great Again, brother. We didn't. The average American does not give a whoop about what happens in Israel. They don't. They never will. Until now, because they're sick of it. Now they want nothing to do with it. And you're going to sit up there and say the ceasefire is going great when it's not? What are we doing here, man? What are we doing? But I get it. I know why they can get away with this. Because most people on the right are cucks. Because most people on the right are bought off on this issue. And they'll never challenge any right-wing establishment power ever on this issue. Never. And as soon as somebody on the right does, you know what happens. We get put on lists. We get death threats. We get censored. We get gate-kept out of anything. We get blacklisted. We get called names. But that's the price for telling the truth.
Not the end. It is, in fact, exactly how this is going to have to happen when you have people who hate each other, who have been fighting against each other for a very long time. We are doing very well. We are in a very good place. We're going to have to keep working on it. But I think we...
Who's we? Is he talking about you? Who's we? Are you doing well in Israel? Do you feel happy with the results of our foreign policy in the Middle East? Who's we? Again, this is where people just don't get it, folks. I like J.D. Vance. I really do. I was rooting for J.D. Vance. I would love to see a millennial, a younger man who's more relatable, get into the White House. I'd love to see it. I was rooting for J.D. Vance. This is it, J.D. It's over for you. It's over. And I assume J.D. is probably smart enough. He's young enough to understand the dynamics that the world is different. American politics is different. Trump proved it. Trump getting across the finish line of the primaries in 2016 and then winning the presidency in 2016 proves it. The political establishment doesn't get what it wants every time. It doesn't. Now they might want Trump, but that's a different story. You can't do this, JD. And they might have already tapped you to be the next candidate. They might have already tapped you to run for office. I don't know. I don't know if that's what you want or if that's what's going on behind the scenes. That's what the media is portraying. But this is now unelectable stuff. This is unelectable stuff, JD. And this is what's going to cost you in the primaries now. You're going to have a loaded field in the primaries. You're going to be challenged on these things. And what are you going to say? I guess you're banking on Trump's success. But this is unelectable slop right here. This is totally unelectable slop.
We have the team to do exactly that. So with all thanks to our partners, both in Israel, but all across the Gulf Arab states, Indonesia, the Turks, we are doing an amazing thing here. And I'm particularly proud of the American troops working at the command center who are coordinating this effort and making it possible.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that? Boots on the ground, folks. Boots on the ground. When you hear somebody say there's no boots on the ground, they're lying. There's already boots on the ground. Here's more from J.D. Vance.
Leave us with one final thought here. So I've been to Israel once in my entire life. I came for about 36 hours. And as a Christian, I think the world's Christians will know that this country, that this region of the world means a great deal to me. And at some point today, I hope to go, or at some point in the next couple of days, I should say, I hope to go to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre.
He's been to Israel once, but it means so much to him. It's a foreign country. It means so much to him. I'm just sick of it.
Which Christians believe is the site that Jesus Christ was crucified in. And I know that Christians have many titles for Jesus Christ, and one of them is the Prince of Peace. And I'd ask all people of faith, in particular my fellow Christians, to pray that the Prince of Peace can continue to work a miracle in this region of the world. I think that we have made...
Yeah, well, while Netanyahu's prime minister, the Prince of Peace will have Netanyahu's boot will be on the Prince of Peace's neck. Netanyahu will make sure that the Prince of Peace has a boot on his neck as long as he's in power. Ben-Gvir will be stabbing the Prince of Peace, piercing him with a spear. As long as Netanyahu and Ben-Gvir are around, the Prince of Peace is not allowed in the conversation, JD. But I'm glad to know how much Israel means to you after one visit there, and I guess how much donor money.
Incredible strides over the past week. We're going to have to make a lot more, but I think with your prayers, with God's providence, and with a very good team behind me, I think we're going to get it done. Thank you all. Take care.
Incredible strides. A total failure of the ceasefire. Incredible strides. Sad, JD. But I get it. You're a politician. You got to lie now. All right, one more clip.
You know, I think Steve put it best, which is that this model, I think, could serve for a foundation for normalization, not just in the Middle East, but across the world. Because what we're taking, again, is a long-term, protracted conflict with two enemies who really don't like each other, and we're actually creating a model that can lead towards sustainable peace. Now, we know that a lot of our Gulf Arab friends would like to have normalized relations with Israel. We know that getting this peace on a sustainable pathway is sort of the critical first step of that. But look, I feel very optimistic about where we are. Knock on wood. You never know how this stuff is going to go. But given what I've seen, given the incredible talent and effort that's going in to the reconstruction of Gaza, to the long-term security of the Gazans in that territory, I feel very good about where we are. And again, if we get this right, I really do think it's going to be a domino that leads to a lot of further peace all across.
Notice all the hedging here. If we get it right, I'm still hopeful. I mean, you're admitting it's failed. I'm still hopeful. What do you mean you're still hopeful? If we get this right. And he says the long-term standing peace. Yeah, so basically the ceasefire has failed. There is no peace. The whole thing is falling apart. And so now you're out here hedging and moving the goalposts. And hey, I don't even blame you. There's nothing you can do. You have an option. You can go out there and tell the American people the whole thing's a failure, but you're not going to do that. So fine. But it all comes down to one question and answer, folks. Will that region of the world ever achieve peace as long as Benjamin Netanyahu and Ben-Gvir are in power in Israel? And I think the answer is no. That's the answer. As long as Netanyahu and Ben-Gvir have any influence in that region, there will never be peace. That's the conclusion I've reached. That's the conclusion most of the world has reached. But when Marian Adelson buys the foreign policy for your administration, I guess you're only allowed to think one thing. I guess that's how that goes. But here we go. So now it's the woke right response to all of this because they have to cope. They have to cope that they're really losing the narrative. They have to cope that there is no peace. They have to cope that Netanyahu's not the good guy. They have to cope that everybody looks at them as foreign agents and foreign assets now. So they're coping hard today. And one of the big copers is Dinesh D'Souza. And this is why they just are completely missing it. And this is why they are known as the woke right. Despite all branding attempts against it, they are the woke right. They have all the identifiable traits as woke. The anti-Jewish, anti-Israel camp was so hoping that they could capture J.D. Vance. Not happening. He's on the same page as Trump. Neither the GOP nor MAGA are following the Pied Pipers of anti-Semitism off the precipice. Now, notice what he does here. Notice how he completely obfuscates from the actual issue and goes to name calling. Dinesh D'Souza is woke right. This isn't about anti-Jewish. This isn't about anti-Israel. This is about anti-war. This is about anti-foreign aid, anti-military invention in foreign wars, and this administration prioritizing a foreign country. That's what this is about. But just like the woke left can't be honest about the issues and can't have a real debate, they just call you racist, bigot, homophobe, transphobe. The woke right does the same thing. Hey, my issue is I don't want to be involved in foreign entanglements. You're an anti-Semite. What are you talking about? Hey, my issue is I don't like all the foreign aid going to Israel while they're launching a war on 7 different countries right now. You're anti-Israel. No, I'm not. I'm just pro-America. I don't like the foreign policy. That's it. Hey, I don't think children should be chemically castrated. I don't think we should be doing trans surgeries to kids before 18. You're a transphobe. You're a bigot. What? Same difference. Now, they're going to win this battle, folks. They're going to win this battle. This administration is not going anywhere. The Israeli lobby's control over Congress and Washington, D.C. isn't going anywhere, not in the near future. Might get a dent in 2026 in the midterms, but it's not going anywhere. It's not going to change. This administration is not going to change. Adelson and the Jewish lobby and the Israel lobby, they own D.C. They own the administration. And I tip my cap. They did it. They got it. Well, I don't even blame them. They love Israel. They prioritize Israel. So they're doing everything to make sure Israel is taken care of. Now, America doesn't have that. We don't get that effort. But Israel does. So I don't blame them. The Israel lobby sees a bunch of political whores that they can buy. So they buy them. Simple as that. So they're not going anywhere, this administration. But they are losing the war. They are losing the war. Because after 2028, Israel is going to be one of the biggest issues and one of the most unelectable things that you can support. So they're kind of like the left politically right now, where they're kind of in denial. And they think they're winning because they do have some political and cultural power, right? They see the celebrities promoting their stuff. They see the politicians promoting their stuff. So they think that they're winning. But then eventually they hit the roadblock, they hit the dead end, and it's over. And that's where the Israel First America movement is at right now. They own all the apparatuses to control the levers of power right now, but they're losing the narrative. They're losing the American people. And they're going to hit their roadblock in 2028, and then they're going to fall off a cliff. And I'm not of this belief that somehow if we just end the commitment to chop our leg off to help Israel all the time, I'm not of this belief that that's somehow the be all end all to save America, but it's representative. It's representative. It's representative that this stranglehold that corruption has in DC, this stranglehold that foreign interest and special interest have on DC, that is supposedly unbreakable. that it can actually be broken. That's what it represents. And it's like, once you can beat that, maybe the biggest challenge, the most powerful, biggest spenders in Washington, D.C., once you can break that trend, then everything else becomes possible. That's how I look at it. When you see all the money, all the power, everything that the Israeli lobby has above the American people, it feels insurmountable. It feels impossible. Eventually, it's going to break. And then it's like, oh, we can control what our government does. We can take back control of our foreign policy. We can prioritize America's interests first. We don't have to spend all this money overseas. We don't have to spend all this money on foreign wars and foreign aid. You mean we can actually keep it here? You mean we can actually have America first priorities? That's what it represents. And it won't hurt that we're no longer supporting whatever dastardly deeds Netanyahu is up to. That might actually be good for the moral side of things, where U.S. foreign policy has gone so wrong for the last 5 decades. So they're going to win the battle. They're going to win the next 2 years, maybe the next 4. But then it's over. Just like all the left-wing crap. Eventually, it's going to hit the roadblock. Eventually, it's going to fall off the cliff. And they're riding high right now because they defeated MAGA. They did. You got to be honest about it. Right now, MEGA, Make Israel Great Again, has beat MAGA. They did it. They won, folks. And they're rubbing it in your face, by the way. They're rubbing it in your face. They're rubbing your nose in it. They're gloating about it. They beat you. They stole our movement. They co-opted our movement. They're pointing at us with our battle scars and wounds and everything that it's cost us. They're laughing at us. They beat us. Make Israel Great Again beat MAGA. They did. They co-opted it. They beat it, and they're bragging about it. They love to rub it in your face. That's what Dinesh D'Souza is doing here. But you guys are in your last quarter. It's over after this. It's done. Eventually, there will be an America First candidate. Eventually, there will be an America Only candidate. And eventually, the American people will realize how screwed they've been, because we still don't realize it. We have a concept of it. We can see the inner workings and kind of the flow chart of it all. But until we actually cut it all off, we won't actually understand how much we've been robbed. And you can look at numbers all day long. It's the best way to do it. But it'll be a lot different when you're actually living in a country that prioritizes America first. We can only conceive it right now. We can only conceptualize it. We can only, dare I say, fantasize. But someday we will get to realize it. So have your hay. You guys won. You co-opted MAGA. You turned it into MIGA. You're bragging about it. I congratulate you. Good game. Good game. But this isn't the final round. And you guys are actually doing more damage to your cause than you realize. And it seems that no amount of wake-up calls can shock you to reality. It seems that you're stubborn, just like the woke left, and so you're just in total denial. So fine. Good game. I tip my cap. You did it. You bought Congress again. You bought a bunch of digital media influencers. You bought the administration. You did it. You conquered MAGA. You conquered MAGA with MEGA. I tip my cap. Good game. We'll see you in the next round of elections. And we'll see you in 2028. And let's see if you're still gloating then. Let's see if you're still rubbing our nose in it then. And what is this? What we know about Israel soccer fans being banned from attending Maccabi Tel Aviv's match against Aston Villa. So I guess the Israelis can't even go to the game now? That seems a little, whoa. Maccabi Tel Aviv has said it will not accept any prospective ticket allocation from Aston Villa following a ban on the Israeli soccer club's fans from attending a Europa League game in Birmingham next month due to security concerns. Now, these Israeli teams have been going around and they've been getting into soccer skirmishes. And there's a couple issues. You've got there's no doubt the Israeli faction of people right now, they're very proud. And they're feeling they're feeling stronger than ever right now because of President Trump. And so they're feeling a little boisterous. They're feeling rather aggressive. So they're getting into some skirmishes and they're standing up because they feel like there's, anti-Semitic soccer fans and Jew-hating soccer fans, which is probably true. And you add alcohol to the mix and the whole soccer arena thing. And, temperatures get heated. Happens between soccer teams all the time. So there have been skirmishes between Israeli soccer fans and European soccer fans and fights and stuff. And then it kind of reached this head. And now they're saying Israeli soccer fans are not even allowed in the stadium because it's going to be a big fight. Now, what's funny is, why are you banning Israeli soccer fans when two European soccer teams can have a match tomorrow and there'll be blood in the streets from soccer hooligans? So you don't ban. It's not like they're trying to ban soccer fights. So why are they just banning the Israeli ones? If the Israelis want to fight the Europeans, let them do it. The Europeans are going to be fighting the Europeans. You don't stop that. Have you ever seen Green Street Hooligans, by the way? Great movie. So you can't go now. Israeli soccer fans can't go watch their team play in Europe. I'm against this. Let them in. Do you think eventually this is going to get to another level? Eventually they're going to stop playing these games. Eventually the Israeli teams might boycott and say, we're just not going to play unless you let our fans in. It's ridiculous, man. It's like, oh, Russia can't be at the Olympics. Russia can't be at the World Cup. Israeli soccer teams can't have fans at the games. Would you just stop? Can we just leave sports out? Let the sports world exist independently of politics, please. And at least for soccer, these fans fight each other all the time anyway. Riots outside of stadiums. They just had to move a soccer match out of Chicago because of riots. There was a championship soccer match in Florida a couple years back. They had to delay it because of riots. But, now that Israeli soccer fans are involved in riots, we have to cancel it? Let the Israeli soccer fans riot. Now, this is discrimination. Israeli soccer fans have every right to riot like other soccer fans. And they're blaming this on Tommy Robinson, who's kind of become his own, pro-Israel voice. Isn't it funny? Talk about depressing. Like the biggest pro-America voice in American politics is Donald Trump. And he's a total tool for Israel. And then it's Tommy Robinson, one of the biggest pro-England patriot voices in England. And he's a total Israeli tool. It's just like you can't avoid it every damn time. Every damn time for this generation. Soccer fans. Maccabi Tel Aviv says Tommy Robinson's intervention in Aston Villa anti-Semitism ticket row was final straw for the club. So because Tommy Robinson wore an Israeli soccer jersey, they say the fans can't come. Nice foreign flag, Tommy. Depressing. Let the fans riot. Let them at it. That's what I say. It's discriminatory. It's the most anti-Semitic act I've ever seen. Not even letting Israeli soccer fans riot with the rest of us. Unacceptable.
You're listening to the Owen Report on the Win Network.
we enter the third hour. We'll see if we can get it all. We'll see if we can get it all taken care of, and then maybe, just maybe, have time for some phone calls today. Weren't able to get to the calls yesterday, but we're getting more into the flow of things here on the show. We're getting into the flow a little bit better here. And with that, we're getting a lot more news across the desk as we're getting into the flow of things here. Before we go back to the news, though, I can't tell you how happy I am with my new water filter. I really can't. I can try, but I don't think I can properly do it. The Cove Pure CP16 countertop reverse osmosis water purifier. I feel like my kitchen has gone into the future. I feel like this whole time I was missing out on the true power of elite water filtration. I'm bragging about this to friends and family. Right now, when you go to covepure.com/Owen, you can take advantage of this special $200 off. You heard that number correct. $200 off. covepure.com/Owen on your Cove Pure CP16 water purifier. Now, I can just tell you, from somebody that's been drinking filtered water for more than a decade now, a water snob, this is by far the best filter I've ever had. Not even close. Nothing even compares. That's why I'm saying I feel silly. I feel like I'm silly that I've been missing out on it for all these years. Here's what you get with $200 off at covepure.com/Owen. Now, this is the nice, sleek, beautiful machine right here with your digital screen interface with all the information right there, all your customizable controls right there. No installation or plumbing needed. Real-time water quality monitoring. It actually updates you on the status of the quality of your water. Hot, warm, cold, and room temperature on demand with one click of the button. In fact, if you see here, your settings are up here. So you have got cold, you've got warm, you got room temperature, all customizable right here, including how much you want out. You can customize how many ounces you want out as well. 4-stage water filtration system plus an alkaline filter at the end of it to return the beneficial minerals and pH balance to your water. Certified according to NSF and ANSI standards. It also comes with this pitcher on the side here that automatically fills itself. It has a pitcher that automatically fills itself. That's cool. Removable pitcher. Fills itself. Measure the purity of your water seamlessly. Stay in control of your water quality. Monitor the TDS, total dissolved solids, levels of the water you are filling the system with, and the quality of water coming out in real time. By the way, you can learn all about this when you go to covepure.com/Owen. Easy to set up and use. Don't waste your money on expensive plumbers. Cove Pure takes 2 minutes to set up. Plug the system in and it's ready to go. No more maintenance calls to change filters. Anyone can do it in just 3 seconds. It's that easy. And you can go read about the 4-stage filtration process at covepure.com/Owen and how it removes all the bad chemicals, all the bad things from the water, and then realkalizes the water before you drink it. See all the compare and contrast to the other filtered water systems and water bottles out there, and you'll see that there is no comparison. So go to covepure.com/Owen right now. $200 off the CP16 water filtration system. I've never been more happy with a water filter, and it is the difference. It is the difference. I've had many different water filters, tried everything as a water snob. This is by far the best. It's not even close. Take advantage of the special for our listeners only. covepure.com/Owen, and you can get $200 off your water filtration system. Let them know we sent you. Thank you, Cove Pure, for supporting the show. All right. Do we want to go back to the news? Let me see. Let me look at some other videos that we might want to play here now. Here, let's go to Senator Mike Lee, who's one of the good guys in there. I guess they're just desperate for anything right now. Talking about the government shutdown.
As we enter day 21 of the Schumer shutdown, it's important to remember how we got here. Republicans, of course, control the House and the Senate and the White House. So why is it that we haven't been able to get this passed? Well, it has to do with Senate Rule 22. It takes 60 votes to bring debate to a close or to achieve closure. We haven't had enough Democrats joining Republicans on any of these spending bills to be able to get to 60. This is an abuse of Rule 22. It's an abuse of the cloture process. The party controlling 0 of the 3 entities between the House, Senate, and the White House, trying to exert their will and trying to reinstate Democratic policy that's been widely rejected, resoundingly, by voters in last November's elections, giving Republicans control of the House and the Senate and the White House. Democrats are living in denial of that, and they're trying to force their will on the American people, which resoundingly rejected them. That's unfortunate. This needs to come to a close now.
Boring. Who's trying to force their will on the American people against the American people's will? Is that something exclusively the Democrats are doing now? Nobody cares. Nobody cares about the shutdown. We'll see what happens when it reaches day 35 and more people start to get affected by this. But sorry, people don't like the government. Government approval ratings are in the tank. We're not crying. We're not upset. Keep it shut down. We don't care. We don't like any of you guys, really. And we don't think any of you are really working for the American people, to be honest. You want to know the truth? So, really don't care. Let's check in on Spencer Pratt. We haven't heard from Spencer Pratt recently, covering all of Gavin Newsom's strange behavior regarding the Palisades fire. Listen to the most recent dig here from Spencer Pratt on what Newsom has been up to post Palisades fire.
Oh, what do we have here? When LA Times is calling something effectively a bailout by Newsom, let's dive into this one. So what I've been noticing is lawmakers in California love to talk about climate change as the cause of wildfires. But let's talk about what's really happening. In 2024, California saw at least 237 utility equipment ignitions, with 135 of those fire ignitions tied to Southern California Edison, SCE. It's easier for legislators to talk about climate change, though, because the weather doesn't fund their campaigns. Meanwhile, utility companies are widely known for their major political donations. Now we have SB 254, which was just signed by Governor Gavin Newsom. SB 254 sounds like utility reform with its wildfire mitigation plans and cost effectiveness, blah, 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 blah. But if you take a deep dive, what the bill really does is reduce the financial exposure of Southern California Edison for the Eaton fire. Even the LA Times calls it, in quotes, effectively a bailout for SCE. It allows Southern California Edison to draw on the existing $21 billion state wildfire fund, half of which is funded by you, the ratepayer, and to move the burden of liability from Southern California Edison's private balance sheet to the state fund. And guess who's the primary implementing agency for SB 254? Gavin's 5 appointed friends on the California Public Utilities Commission, the CPUC.
So that corrupt politician, Gavin Newsom, is probably your Democrat frontrunner in 2028. And the Democrats will vote for him. I have no doubt. They actually like it. They like the corruption because they think in their head that the corruption, these corrupt politicians, these corrupt Democrats, they think it's just going to be aimed at their enemy. They think they'll only aim it at conservatives, Republicans, right-wingers, Christians, whatever. That's their delusion. No, these wildfires that the Democrats caused, that burnt down everyone's house, no matter what their political affiliation was. They will vote for Newsom. Would they vote for J.B. Pritzker? He's got presidential aspirations. Nothing too big for J.B. Pritzker. He doesn't want Trump's help cleaning up the streets.
You see that I stand up and I speak out about it, and that I'm not willing. He begs me to call him to have a conversation with him when I know that the conversation that he wants is for me to beg him to send National Guard onto the streets of the city of Chicago. I will never do that. Never.
Yes, I'm sure Trump is calling you and begging you for a conversation. He might be begging you to help Chicago, where homicides are way too common and gun violence riddles the streets every weekend. But you're not interested in that. You're not interested in that. So we hear you. We hear you. You want Chicago to be crime-ridden. Got you. Got you loud and clear. Thank you. Thank you very much. Let's get the rest of this news off the desk here. Sanae Takachi is Japan's first female prime minister. She's a heavy metal drummer and a hardline conservative. I like her already. Let's bring her to the White House. I like Japan's new heavy metal conservative prime minister. I'm down. I support it. Pope meets with global group of clergy abuse survivors to talk zero tolerance. This has got to be one of the most pathetic things. The Catholic Church, the Pope has to remind you, we have zero tolerance against sexual abuse. Wow. Groundbreaking. When did you guys decide that was the policy? Zero tolerance for sexual abuse? At some point, was there tolerance? What are we saying here? What are we getting at here? Thank you. Thank you. You know things are bad when you have to have a conference saying that the Catholic Church has zero tolerance for sexual abuse. Shouldn't that be a given? All right, Pope Leo is doing that. Pope Leo also, usury corrupts the human heart and enslaves the poor. Pope Leo condemns usury as a grave sin that enslaves the poor and corrupts the human heart. He calls for a renewed commitment to justice and mercy and praises the church anti-usury efforts as a sign of hope in the Jubilee year. Usury, huh? Well, they're probably going to call the Pope an anti-Semite for saying that, but these predatory loans, it's a paradox. If you're truly a free market absolutist, then usury, high interest rate loans, you let the market solve that. If somebody wants to take a loan for 50% interest and they sign to it, how can you stop them? But there's no doubt, the interest rates in this country are out of control. It's out of control. The banks, the interest rates, it's all out of control. It's been out of control. It's a giant bubble. Continues to get bailed out. It's been a disaster economically, these high interest rates, or usury, as the Pope calls it. But it's all the same. It's all the same. And the middle class in this country is shrinking, folks. It's becoming the haves and have-nots fast. It's becoming the upper and the lower class fast. The middle class is dwindling. It's like you're either living paycheck to paycheck or you're not. That's basically where you're at right now financially in America. And most are living paycheck to paycheck. And then you got the high interest, home loans, credit card debt, student loans. Then you can't afford that. Then you default. Then the banks have the bubble burst. Then you need a bailout. Then you print more money. We didn't have these problems before the Fed, by the way. We had other problems, but not that problem. Rodrigo Paz Pereira wins Bolivia's presidential runoff, marking a new shift to the right. Sunday's election marked the first time since 2005 that no candidate from Evo Morales' MAS party was on the ballot. That's a socialist. So he beat a socialist. Now, I'm watching this be celebrated, and I'm listening to some of the sound bites coming out of Bolivia as the center-right is what they're saying. The center-right candidate for the Christian Democratic Party in Bolivia. They're celebrating, okay, no more socialists. But I'm listening to these sound bites coming out of Bolivia, and I'm like, this is eerily familiar. And they're talking about how, oh, finally we have change. Finally a change candidate. Finally a candidate that cares about us. Finally a president that cares about us. All this. And I'm like, man, where have I heard this before? I feel like you hear that every election cycle and nothing ever changes. I feel like we hear this every single election cycle. Finally, the change candidate has won, and then nothing changes. Are you buying anything will change in Bolivia? It's always the same. Ooh. I told you I wanted to talk about the jewelry heist in Paris. Oh, we got an interesting one here. I'm more interested in this today than American politics. It's all slop. Whoever pulled off this jewelry hype, that is not slop. That is a tight job. Much better than our politicians. Actually, that's not true. Our politicians rob us of hundreds of billions of dollars every year. So I guess you're nothing compared to our politicians that rob us. But at least this is an honest thief out there in the broad of daylight, robbing a crown jewel. An honest thief. Everybody knows what you're doing. You're not fooling anybody. So the museum, the Louvre, maybe the most popular museum in the world, gets its first female head of security. That's right. Dominique Buffin was hired as the first female security chief by Lawrence Descartes, the museum's first female director, last September. And now the giant heist. Wow. Within a year of the first female security chief, there's the giant heist. It also turns out they changed the display cases. The theft of Napoleonic treasures in the Louvre followed a change in the display cases. Before, the Rocco display cases had armored glass, and if disturbed, the treasures would drop into a safe. They were later replaced by the modern displays with normal glass. And you take a look at these two displays. First of all, the modern displays suck. They're ugly, they're grotesque, they're boring. Nothing about that screams interesting in comparison to the old displays that were very grandiose, very ornate. Apparently, this was to make it more accessible to certain demographics, is what they were saying. This stuff doesn't even make sense. Oh, man. Everything woke turns to crap. Everything woke turns to crap. I don't even know if I want to get into this other story. NHS doctor, I'm skipping over that for now. NHS doctor who supported Palestine action arrested. So this is a doctor who supports Palestine. She has no complaints as far as her professional record is concerned, but she posts positively about Palestine and supports the Free Palestine movement. So she's been arrested. She had a visit from local police, and she was arrested. The video is online. They have a screenshot of it here. NHS British Palestinian doctor with 0 patient complaints arrested for posting negatively about Israel, positively about Palestine, whatever they want to spin. That's what it is. So there's your free speech, guys. Where are our free speech activists? Silent. They support this stuff, actually. They love it. That's why they're leaking new text threads, ladies and gentlemen. This is the new trend of the right, leaking text threads. New racist Republican group chat has been leaked to Politico featuring text from Paul Ingracia, Trump's nominee to lead the Office of Special Counsel. Ingracia's texts include vile pro-Nazi and racist messages targeting black people, Chinese people, and Indian people. So the Israeli lobby will make sure he loses a job. I'm sure that's coming next. So whatever. Not my problem. I'm not in the administration. And I don't do these text threads. Saw that stuff coming a mile away. People always put me in these groups. I ignore. I never respond. I never reply. I see some of this stuff. You know, I could actually. Maybe this will stop people from inviting me into their group texts. I could send some stuff out there. Not like this. Although I'm sure some of this crap is in there too. No, you want to see how cringe some of these right-wing groups are? Because you see this stuff and you're like, why are people talking like this? This is like high school stuff. This is like a high school chat room. It's what it's like. It's like a high school chat room. Now, I actually did this stuff in grade school and in high school. I actually already did this stuff. When I was a kid, I did kid stuff. These are adults doing kid stuff. We were in the AOL text boards and the instant messenger chat rooms and stuff like that. We already did this as kids. We already went through it. This stuff still exists. These are adults doing this stuff. You should see the stuff they send. They put me in these text groups, these email groups, these X message DM threads and all this crap. Like, why do you do this stuff? What do you do? What do we do? And they just send nothing. It's just all cringe posting. But there you go. So this is the new thing on the right. This will not be the last one. If you're in one of these groups and anybody in there with their own agenda sees leverage, it's going. It's getting sent to Politico, or you're getting blackmailed. And it's in every single one of these threads. I guarantee you. There will be more text message groups leaked to the media. There'll be more right-wing racists and right-wing anti-Semites. Guarantee it. 110% guarantee it. Because these things are everywhere. I'm in a bunch of these things. They're everywhere. These right-wingers, man. I don't get it. Didn't you... Maybe they weren't around for the glory days of AOL Instant Messenger. Maybe they weren't around for the glory days of chat rooms. Maybe they weren't around. So they're doing it now in these group chats. You fools. How could you be so naive? In a group of 30, 40 people, most of them you don't even know. You've never even heard of. You don't even know who's in there. You really thought... But you know what? I will say this, though. You've also got to say, I don't know, has any of this come out of the left wing? I think a little bit has come out of the left wing, some of Harry Sisson's stuff, but that's more personal stuff with him, trying to get with women. I don't think anything like this has ever come out of the left, and I'm sure it's there. You had the Peter Strzok, Lisa Page stuff, but that was all part of a fake Russian collusion expose. I don't know. I can't recall any of this happening to the left. But there will be more on the right. But despite that, actually, it's pretty amazing that this hasn't happened before. It's actually pretty amazing this is just now happening. But now that it's happening, I expect it to continue happening, especially if they're getting paid. If you're getting paid to leak this stuff, then it's definitely going to happen. But hey, all the purists of the right-wing movement that thinks this is good, for you politically, you're going to learn the hard way. It's not. But whatever. They'll endorse Andrew Cuomo, the nursing home killer. That's where they're at on the right. So have fun with that. Have fun with that. I really don't even want to cover this story, but it's in the same vein. I just don't know if I can do it. Let me just breeze by it. I just because, I want you to know what's going on. That's what this show is about. You getting 3 hours of news. So I want you to know what's going on. I really don't even want to cover it, but so it was Seth Dillon, Josh Hammer, and Laura Loomer, who had an anonymous X account send them a death threat. Now, this is the exact anonymous X account that has no profile picture, nothing, just an anonymous X account. Posted this on October 12th to, I guess, Seth Dillon. You are on it too, bitch. Don't think we forgot. He's talking about Charlie Kirk. So this is after Charlie Kirk was assassinated, and we still don't know who did it. So this anonymous X account, Klaus, says, you're in on it too, bitch. Don't think we forgot. Conspired with foreign government about killing Charlie, and we know you did. We're going to get you, I promise, maybe not today or tomorrow, but you're living on borrowed time and you know it. That's the anonymous post, apparently sent in and I guess it was a post in a reply to Seth Dillon, Laura Loomer, and Josh Hammer on X. So they sent this to authorities, and the authorities have now arrested a man. The authorities have found the man that made the anonymous post. Now, again, do you consider that a direct death threat? Regardless, they got their scalp. And he was in Texas. So the Florida Attorney General is having a Houston man extradited for that social media post. And now all the Israeli lobbyists are saying that certain accounts that he followed, including but not limited to Candace Owens and AIPAC Tracker, must be, and I quote, purged. Must be purged. Censorship is coming, folks. Censorship is coming. And it's so funny. Laura Loomer, the big free speech activist, she loves censoring somebody. She actually loves censorship. Not when she's censored, but if she can have somebody else censored, she loves it. So the Attorney General of Florida has made a statement. It's all over the national news because of one anonymous post making a very nuanced death threat. Now, hey, fine. If we're doing that now, if we're taking very light, nuanced death threats towards people and having people arrested across state lines to do it, okay, fine. If that's the territory we're in. But so then when do we stop? When do we stop? What about all the leftists that have been calling for the death of people for how long now? 4 years, 8 years, 10 years? Are all of them going to be arrested, or is it just the people that offended Josh Hammer and Laura Loomer and Seth Dillon with a very nuanced death threat? Is it just that guy? Folks, I use this as an example. All right? So just take it for what it is. I'm using this as an example. I have had so many credible death threats sent to me via phone, via mail. I've even had people do direct death threats to me in my car. Okay? I've gathered evidence. I've gathered people's names, identities, locations, license plate numbers, and in some cases, even, let's say, we can find out who they are even though they're anonymous. And I have submitted this to law enforcement. Nothing has ever been done. I've had guns pointed at me by Antifa on multiple occasions. No arrest ever made. I had false police reports filed and SWAT teams come to my house and point guns at me. I had guns. I had lasers on my head and on my chest. No arrests. None. None. You can go on X all day long and find death threats to conservatives. Death threats to everybody. There's no mass arrests. There's no punishment. Why this guy? How is it that Laura Loomer, Seth Dillon, and Josh Hammer, over a very nuanced death threat, were able to get a scalp? And now are calling for everybody he followed on X to be purged from the right. How is that? Somebody care to explain that? So here's the Attorney General making this announcement. There are multiple, here's a response. There are multiple screenshots circulating of X accounts that clearly had foreknowledge of Charlie Kirk's assassination. No arrests aside from Tyler Robinson. Interesting priorities. And they're extraditing this guy across the country for saying, quote, "We're going to get you. You're on borrowed time." This sounds like an Xbox Live tirade, not a serious and actionable death threat, which requires attention from law enforcement. So how did they get it? That's what I'm curious about. Let this be lesson number 5 million. Let this be lesson number 6 million. For who is truly protected by law enforcement and our government, and who is not. All it takes is one anon, and your life will be ruined if you attack the wrong people. Now, how can you deny that that is the case? How can you deny that? How can one anonymous count with a very lightly nuanced death threat, which I'm not supporting, fine, you got him. Okay. But if that's the standard here, then I'm sorry, there need to be thousands of arrests made, if not hundreds of thousands. You've got Democrat candidates who send text messages saying Republicans need to get shot. They're not getting arrested. How is it that Josh Hammer, Laura Loomer, and Seth Dillon are able to track down this guy and have him arrested over one anonymous, hardly a death threat, social media post? How is that? How is that? But yet the entire FBI and the entire judicial system that, yes, I have sent the credible death threat sent to me. I have submitted it to the judicial system. Credible, actual death threats sent to me in person, by the way. Not to mention the swatting attacks. And I get nothing, even though the FBI is apparently on it. And that's just me using an example. I'm not the only one. There were dozens of victims of these swattings. There's no action. But a very nuanced, light death threat, all things considered, and Dillon, Hammer, and Loomer are able to get a scalp? How is that real? So then by that standard, there's going to be hundreds of thousands of arrests for social media posts, except there's not. And so now they're saying because this guy followed Candace Owens and AIPAC Tracker and the rest, now they have to be banned and they have to be censored. So here you go. Get ready. Get ready. Your MEGA agenda is right on track, ladies and gentlemen, right on track. And now censorship is coming to the right. If you don't support Israel, you watch. Guaranteed. You're going to get war for Israel and you're going to get censorship for Israel. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. So there's your MAGA agenda. How's it working out? I guess it depends on who you ask, huh? I mean, look. Are these people going to get arrested? This is in Denver. Charlie Kirk had it coming. And then a bunch of pro-communist garbage, a bunch of pro-death stuff from the Denver communists. So they all need to be arrested now. That's a death threat. Right? I mean, we're just trying to apply. If it can't be applied universally, it's not logic, it's propaganda. I wish he hadn't turned his head. Nope, they're calling for a death. That's death threat to President Trump. So again, by the standard, then all these people should be arrested, right? Shouldn't all these people be getting arrested right now? If it can't be applied universally, it's not logic, it's propaganda. And that's what you're getting. This is pure propaganda. It's like, I don't even want to wait, because I'm not a guy, I don't like to waste time. I am a big proponent of never waste any time. But it's almost like, as a point, should I start sending all the death threats? Like, I could start doing it publicly. Should I start sending all the death threats I get to law enforcement, and let's see how much action I get? Because I won't get any. I've never had any. Now, maybe if I was Laura Loomer or Josh Hammer or Seth Dillon, then maybe I would get prioritized for whatever reason. I don't know. Maybe you know why they get prioritized and not me. But it's like, I don't want to waste my time, because it would be just that. I've already done it. I've done it for years. Nothing happens. So why would I waste my time? But now it's like, oh, okay. If they're able to come out here and promote this thing over barely a death threat at all, it's not a direct threat at all. It's very nuanced. But if they're able to get a scalp, then certainly the things that have been sent to me should be actionable. Like SWAT team actionable. But I won't get anything. I wonder why. Why is that? I wonder why Loomer and Hammer and Dillon are able to get such prioritization, but nobody else does. I wonder why that is. That's strange, isn't it? No idea. No idea either. Seriously, none. Elon Musk is attacking Sean Duffy today. Sean Dummy is trying to kill NASA. Well, he's trying to absorb NASA into the Department of Transportation. So I think Duffy is in over his head, and I think Sean Duffy is a really great guy. I really do. I think he's one of the good guys. But I think he might be a little over his head. And I feel like Duffy is trying to kind of do his own little Doge thing here with NASA. And this is how he's going about it. Musk wanted Isaacman to run things. So I don't know why Musk wants NASA. Maybe it's because he has these contracts with SpaceX and stuff. I don't know if that's even going to be impacted. But Musk is coming after Duffy hard today. And if you do take NASA or space exploration seriously, then you probably aren't the biggest fan of Duffy being in charge of it, despite him being a good guy and all. House Republicans preparing report on Biden's use of AutoPen after months of investigation. Do you think this will result in any arrests? The report, likely to be released in the coming weeks, centers on contested and thus far unsubstantiated claims that Biden not only visibly aged while in office, but that his mental state declined to a degree that allowed White House officials to enact policies without his knowledge. This is Matt Brown from CNN. Hey, Matt, what rock do you live under, and how's rent? Are you getting good rent there? Americans would like to know. They're getting broke right now. They're getting crushed. But you apparently live under a rock, and you must be doing well to not see that Biden was aging visibly while in office and that his mental state declined. So if you couldn't see that, Matt Brown, then I'd like to know what rock you're living under and how's rent. Huntersville man accused of shooting into van, injuring 3-year-old boy, police say. This is even worse than that, if you can believe it. So this happened in Charlotte, North Carolina. A shooting that led to a toddler being injured over the weekend on Sunday night, firing into a vehicle. Well, certainly this man doesn't have a criminal record. I mean, it could be, 19 previous arrests. 19 previous arrests, still out on the streets, just shot a 3-year-old. Insane that we put up with this. An NBC poll listed 13 priorities and asked men and women who voted for Trump and Harris where they placed having children in their list of priorities. Conservative men said first. Conservative women said 6th. Liberal men said 9th. Liberal women said 12th. Now, I don't think these results would necessarily shock anybody, but yet when you see it on paper in front of you, it really does tell a story. Now, I am curious. Would you have thought that men would have been prioritizing having children ahead of women? That seems like a reverse card. That seems like an Uno reverse card. You'd think that it'd be women that would prioritize having kids. You'd think that's more of a women thing, a feminine thing, a creator of life thing. but it's men by far. That's got to be a result of the anti-woman propaganda. That's got to be a result of this fifth wave anti-feminism feminism. That's got to be a result of all the propaganda aimed at women to make you think that having kids isn't your divine destiny. Your divine calling, you might even say. And they try to demonize that, like, oh my gosh, what, you just think women are here to make children? No, I didn't say that. I said women have a divine purpose to bring life into the world. That's pretty remarkable, actually. That's pretty special. That should be celebrated, not demonized. And somehow all this propaganda has women not prioritizing having children. That is wild to me. I asked this to a friend of mine the other day. I almost want to do like a dedicated show to this. You know, I do these news shows for 3 hours a day and I cover the news. And then some days when it's just pure slop like this, I'm always going to do it. You're tuning in to get the news. But I almost want to do these like special shows. I could open up the phone lines. I would like to know. I asked this to a friend of mine. And she kind of had she's a single mother. She kind of had a bad situation with old baby daddy. And I asked her, because I have my own opinion, but I said, well, what would you rather, and we're the same age. I said, well, what would you rather have? Would you rather be 50 years old and childless or be a single mother? Because to me, I'm saying, you know, the whole single mother aspect in culture has changed a lot. And I think there's probably more of a pressure or a social taboo on women than it is for men. So I do respect that. I am aware of that. But at the same time, I forget about stereotypes, taboos, forget about societal responses, all that stuff. I'm just saying, as a woman, would you rather be childless for your entire life, or would you rather be a single mother? And I'm saying, to me, in my opinion, I'm like, how could you not rather be a mother, period? Even if you never end up with a man, or you never get married, or whatever the circumstances are, wouldn't you rather still be a mom? And she was saying no. But I didn't believe her. But like, that's a curious one. To me, wouldn't you rather not be childless no matter what? Like, wouldn't you rather not be childless? Like, don't you think whatever you have to go through in this process as a woman, whether it be a single mother or whether it be childless, don't you feel like you'd rather go through at least having a kid, like going through all that, but having a child and not being childless your entire life? I don't know. I was shocked. I feel like that would be, I don't know. I'm not a woman, but I feel like if I was a woman, the thought of being childless would scare me way more than the thought of being a single mother. Just me. But I wonder how women feel about that. So, but men prioritize having kids more than women. Has it always been that way? Maybe it has. Maybe it has always been that way. But that one was pretty shocking to me. But more, maybe it was shocking because of how wide margin was. It's pretty wide margins, not even really close. All right. I'm almost out of time here. I do want to do this. I'm going to have to just carry over a bunch of stuff for tomorrow. I think I'm going to carry over a bunch of stuff from last week and just video stuff from last week and yesterday, and maybe do some leftover specials tomorrow. We'll reheat some specials tomorrow. Everybody loves leftovers, right? So maybe we'll do that tomorrow, because I do want to bring in, I've been teasing this for a while, but I do want to finally bring in the producer today. I want to introduce you to the producer. He's been working behind the scenes. This is hilarious. A friend of mine just sent me one of the death threats that I've gotten. Literally, the guy says, quote, "I will effing assassinate you. You are getting an effing bullet." I gave this video to police. I gave this video to law enforcement. Nothing ever happened. So, you know what? Thank you for sending me that. I'm going to bookmark that. Thank you. Appreciate you. I want to bring in the producer here. I want to bring in Dominic Michael Trippi. Now, all right, you're officially on the stage here. We tested your mic camera.
We see it. We see it.
I want to let people know about something. Dominic and I went to the same high school. We went to the same college, and then we were neighbors in St. Louis for, I guess, about the last 5 or 6 years before I ended up moving to Austin. I've known Dominic a long time. He's a trustworthy friend of mine, and I've been fortunate enough not only to bring in Dominic to help with a lot of things behind the scenes, and now he's producing the show. We're kind of slowly getting him into the role of producing the show. He's been handling a lot of administrative stuff behind the scenes. Many of you have probably even communicated with him. Very active on social media. But I've been so blessed where I've been able to bring Dominic in, who's a longtime friend of mine that I know I can trust, and a couple of the other people that I may be working on bringing in here once we have the budget to do it. I'm also looking to bring in friends and family. That's who I'm looking to work with, is friends and family. It means a lot to me to have people that I trust and people that I love working with me. And I'm fortunate enough to be in a position that I have those people around me with the skill sets needed. So Dominic, why don't you introduce yourself to the audience here? And I know you were chomping at the bit yesterday because I gave out some false information about the apparel. I don't know if you want to correct that record today.
I mean, the guy doesn't even know his own shirt size, for God's sakes. You got a medium shirt on, my friend. The large is too big for you.
So now,
for me, XL is a little more my territory, but we're working on that. We're about to get real jacked for this next year because let's be honest, the political situation's getting a little dicey. Doesn't really look like freedom has a lot of longevity. So, physical fitness.
Freedom will be back. But physical fitness is something we have control over now.
Anyways, first of all, just want to say hello to everybody. Appreciate you, my friend. We've dealt with a lot of crap over the years. I mean, starting with you being in prison. I don't know if people know that I actually started Owen's current Twitter account when he was in prison. I was the guy that was providing those updates and things of that nature. So, and now we've got this division on the right where apparently we're like personas non grata. If you dare dissent whatsoever from the MAGA sphere, you seem to be, political enemy number one. So, you were mentioning working with friends and family, and we don't really have much of a choice. If we don't work with each other, who do we have? Because clearly we're being ostracized and, painted as these destructive characters when in reality, we're just trying to put our country and our countrymen first. So I appreciate you. I appreciate the opportunity to be on the show, do the producing, and we're going to bring a good product and we're going to bring some raw information to all of you guys.
Yeah, and I think eventually you'll be getting a little more vocal here as we slowly kind of work you into the elements. We get a little more comfortable with the structure of the show, and things become a little bit second nature for you. We'll probably be bringing you in for a little more commentary. We'll probably start that process maybe next week, I'm thinking.
Yeah, it sounds good. And I did, I thought it was an important point that you brought up because, again, I mentioned that we've been through a lot of stuff. I've witnessed a lot of things that the public isn't even aware of. And I do think it's a little bit frustrating. I mean, we'll just call it what it is. When these very arduous Zionists on the right are able to get justice, they're able to get somebody put under arrest, and I'm obviously not condoning what this random person said, but you've actually had physical threats. I've been with you when someone literally punched you. I mean, it's
you've literally seen me get assaulted before.
Yeah, for anyone that thinks this guy's kidding, I have been with him at a dinner when someone came up to us. They came up to Owen with they gave the false intention of giving him a hug and saying, "Hey, I love your material," and they attempted to slug him. So it's real shit. People don't really understand just how dicey some of these situations get, and I do think it's a little frustrating the fact that you had laser pointers from guns on your actual person, and you were pleading, doing several different shows, reaching out to law enforcement, anyone that would listen, and we were able to get nothing. And, there was also 10, 15 other individuals that are pretty prominent in the conservative media sphere, and they were able to get no action on this. And I just think it's a little bit conspicuous that, yeah, they were able to get, a state to extradite an individual to Florida when all these other people, they were able to get no justice at all. So,
well, and
I'm with you, man. It's frustrating.
It's also weird because I don't know too much about Josh Hammer or Seth Dillon, but I know about Laura Loomer well. I know Laura Loomer faces way worse death threats than that. So it's like, how is it that I mean, I guarantee you go into Laura Loomer's replies and you're going to see much worse than that. It's just like, why that? I don't know. The whole thing is weird.
Yeah. And I've seen a comment in here that says, it's difficult to trust people in the space. And I just want to say that I agree with you. I think that people are being exposed to having certain agendas. Obviously, we've had this whole, it's kind of a joke, but I mean, it is based off of reality about this whole 7,000 per post. And the reality of it is a lot of these people, a lot of your favorite commentators and such, they really are being paid by many times, somewhat malicious entities, and you just can't really trust the information that you're receiving at this point. So if you're an audience member and you like Owen, you've placed some of your faith and trust in him, I implore you to support him, to support myself, and to really be careful with who you're listening to, because truthfully, and I know that you know this, I mean, I know people privately, very large influencers and things, that they'll tell you things in private. They'll have similar ideologies to you and I, yet when they get in front of a camera, it's, I love Benjamin Netanyahu, going to the wall. Even someone like Valentina Gomez, who ran in my state of Missouri, then she moves to Texas.
Yeah, she's running in Texas now.
That's what I'm saying. And, she only moved to the United States in 2009, has the heavy accent and things like that. I'm not trying to put any hatred towards anyone, but
Valentina.
I just thought today.
I like Valentina.
I know, but she was spotted. She was spotted today at the Wailing Wall in Israel after she put out several posts saying, "Screw AIPAC, I'm America first." It's like, first of all, maybe learn our language a little bit better. Second of all,
come on,
don't say this stuff about how you're America first and how you criticize AIPAC, you criticize this lobby, and you go into the wall. It's just, these people are so shameless. You can't trust anything they say. So again, if you find people that you trust, keep that circle small and, support these people.
Wait a second. Really did my girl Valentina actually kiss the wall today?
No, there's no pictures of her kissing the wall.
All right, so we haven't had lip on wall contact yet.
No, here, I'll actually just read the post.
Valentina,
she wrote, "Thank you to the Western Wall Rabbi Shmuel Rabinowitz for welcoming me, a Christian, into the holiest place in the world. It was a blessing being able to speak to little girls whose fathers were murdered by Hamas terrorists. Jews and Christians are united against terrorism." See, they always tried to get you with the whole, they're terrorists, we're fighting together, because on its face and when you actually look at the merits and the political interests of the United States, there's no argument. So they have to scare you, and they have to give you fear propaganda and atrocity propaganda to even get you on board. And so I'm just disappointed. I apologize for the personal little ding that I gave there to Valentina, but at the same time, we're done with this shit. We want America first. It's very clear. So anytime you see some of this stuff, guys, honestly, click the mute button. We got to start ignoring these people.
I still like Valentina. You get mad at me because I still maintain good relationships with people that you have zero tolerance for.
Well, man, I'm half Italian, and we just don't really traditionally as a people have much patience. And look, I think it's pretty clear for many people. I think a lot of people's frustrations have grown over the last year. At first, I was a little bit more tolerant and accepting of some of these different viewpoints, but now I truly believe that it's supporting an anti-American agenda. It's supporting globalism. It's supporting foreign aid. It's supporting foreign wars. And, we cannot be tolerant to things that are terrible for us, our future generations, and, for our pocketbooks. And I think that we just had enough. So even for me, I hesitated doing on camera stuff. I've hesitated to put a lot of my personal opinions out there because, quite frankly, they're pretty good and they're accurate. And I know they're going to get attention. They're going to get criticism. So it's hard to maintain a normal job if you're going to put those things out there. You're really going to put an X on your back. But at the same time, when the future of the country hangs in the balance, we're really given no choice but to speak out. You have to.
Are you going to be attending Megyn Kelly's new tour? Megyn Kelly's going on tour with Ben Shapiro and Andrew Klavan. Are you getting your tickets? Are you lining up for tickets?
Well, Valentina Gomez already sent me a couple for free. So
you got the VIP. You and Valentina got the VIP?
Well, I think maybe that was before we had a bit of a disagreement here like a year and a half ago. So I got them way in advance. So we're good.
Wait, they knew?
No, I will not. People don't know me. No, I will not be attending the event. I don't hate Megyn Kelly or anything like that, but no, man, I'm done with anyone that is like fully establishment conservative. And let's just be honest, ever since Donald Trump won this last election, many people that used to be anti-establishment, they used to be the types of critics that would actually point out government corruption, or they would point out government overreach. This administration has essentially absorbed them, and they've made them, turn them into, what I call a government mouthpiece. So there's so many of these people that I respect, I like, they do good work. I know them personally. They're great people. However, when I see them just kind of push the party line when they're supposed to be a young America First patriot and they are behind the scenes, people are selling out, and it's disgusting.
Well, a lot of people are seeing that. I think it's a pretty easily observable phenomenon now.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I do want to give a reminder to everybody. It's actually the first day that Mr. Owen Schroyer has. First of all, we're back on YouTube, so let's give a little round of applause for that. I know that YouTube been pretty censorious over the years. They haven't done us any favors, that's for sure. However, it is the biggest platform. It is going to be the best way to actually disseminate some of this information that people aren't getting. So I do want to remind people if you're listening on Rumble or X, go follow Owen at Owen Report on YouTube. We actually just got monetized today, which is interesting. I don't know how long that's going to last, but for right now, audience members will be able to send a super chat. And if some of you guys are a little bit timid, maybe it's hard to get in on the phone line, maybe you don't want to actually talk directly on air, that's going to be the best way to get your questions answered. We are going to answer. I'm going to go ahead and say we're going to read all of the super chats at the end of the show every day. It's similar to like if you watch Nick Fuentes' show, probably be a similar model to that. If we end up getting tons and tons of super chats or Rumble rants, we'll likely prioritize ones that are things like $10 and up and things of that nature. But basically, we want to get more audience feedback. We want it to be a more interactive experience for everybody. We value your guys' opinions. So, if you want to support us that way, terrific. If you just want to watch, that's great too.
Do you want to start that tomorrow? Do we want to start doing that tomorrow?
Yes. I'm seeing some stuff. I love Dominic. He gets it. Amen, brother. And I'm just telling you guys, we appreciate it, man, because I'm dead serious. I'm going to go ahead and speak for Owen when I say this, as well as myself. We are so sick of this fake bullshit. We are going to expend every ounce of energy humanly possible to defeat this corporate, disgusting, corrupt entity that all of us are being faced with. We can't even get a house these days. We can't even do anything. I mean, come on, man. We've had enough. So us, all of us that consider ourselves nationalists, that consider ourselves populists, we're going to work together. We're going to get loud as hell, and we're going to put an end to this bullshit.
I see a lot of people in the chats. They're really big fans of Dominic. I think this is too much for me. I can't handle this. I can't handle the big trip. I can't handle the DMT fans in the chat. It's too much. You're too popular. I think we're gonna have to sideline you for the time being. Actually, I think you're coming in too hot now. You're stealing my thunder.
Well, I mean, I hate to say this, but that Drew Bledsoe was initially the starting quarterback of the New England Patriots before Tom Brady stepped in. I got a little number 12 energy, not to get you upset, but it's all good. We'll work it out.
All right. Well, we've gone a little long here today. Did we have any super chats today?
Not that I'm prepared for in a short amount of time. So we'll take this as getting everybody a warning.
Okay.
We'll be ready for you tomorrow, guys.
We'll start with the super chats tomorrow. So YouTube, Rumble, they're called Rumble Rants, and then super chats on YouTube. You'll be documenting those, and we'll be probably doing that at the end of the show every day now.
Yeah, and I will add, this isn't a cash grab. We're just going to be real. If you decide to send a big super chat, we're talking like triple digit, maybe 50 here and there. We will do probably some text to speech, meaning that if you really want to get something out there quick, you send us. We'll have to decide if it's 50 or 100 or whatever, but we essentially will interrupt the show and we'll read yours right away. It'll be a text to speech format, so it'll just pop right up. So, maybe some of you tricksters out there that want to get something a little inappropriate out there or something, that might be.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, open up the floodgates.
I got you guys.
The Owenly fans out there. That'll be fun. Well, hey, someday, you know what my goal for you is? You want to know what I'd like to see someday? Someday I'd like for you to have a show here. I'd like you to have your own show so that I can just break into the studio and disrupt you. That's what I really would like out of this, is for you to have a show that I just disrupt every day.
I know that we don't talk about certain individuals here on the Owen Report, but I will just say the interruption activity over on the former
breaking
network,
in like a Kool-Aid man.
Dude, seriously though. Matter of fact, like they might need to allocate some of the funds. They might need to allocate some of the funds that they're going to use to rebuild Gaza and bring it over to the old studio. Because there's definitely some Kool-Aid man crashing in still today. So we're moving forward though. We're worried about the windshield. We're not worried about the rear view mirror, and that's why the windshield's 20 times bigger. So we're moving forward.
There he is, producer of the Owen Report, Dominic Michael Trippy. Follow him on X. I think it's just Dominic. Is it
D Michael Trippy?
D Michael Trippy on X.
We're not using any of these. There's a lot of trash platforms out there. I do have an Instagram and things, but we're basically fully on X despite the completely broken AI algorithm. So find me on.
All right, there you hear it. The first debut, the introduction of Dominic Michael Trippy, the producer of the Owen Report. Dom, good to see you here. All right, we're out of time for today. I'm going to be logging off here, and then I'm doing an interview with Ashton Forbes after this. And I was originally going to do like a kind of an Israel debate with him. He's way more pro-Israel than I am. But it's good when you can get along with people despite having these differences. But I'm so burnt out on it. I'm so sick of it. I almost don't even want to do it anymore. So we'll see if he wants to do that, or I might just go into that conversation talking about UAPs, UFOs, and how they're like mainstreaming this whole alien narrative now, because he's big into that side of things. So we may touch on both of those things. But I'm signing off here for now, and then I'll be back in about 15 minutes, I would say, about 15 minutes with Ashton, and we'll be talking about these things. But that does it for the Owen Report for today. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. Thanks to today's sponsor, covepure.com/Owen, the official water filter of the Owen Report. $200 off the water filtration system at covepure.com/Owen. All right, Owen Report takes a 21-hour break, but I'll be back here in about 15 minutes interviewing Ashton Forbes here on some interesting topics. God bless, Godspeed.